Hello and good evening. Oh, hi, bedtime clown. Hope you're well. And please say hello to Voodoo for me. Um, this has been this live. It's because Porky's kind of upstairs doing his stream. There's nothing on the telly I wanted to watch, and I actually thought this needs very little research to do, and if anybody comes in or nobody comes in, it's absolutely fine, because it is literally just stories, real stories. They're not, not made up, they're not out of a book. These are stories that have either been relayed to me or ones that have happened, in my own family. So I hope that, it'll keep people entertained. And if people want to join in chat, that's absolutely fine. And if not, that's absolutely fine as well. Hi, Kathy. How are you today? I'm having to speak quite quietly because I'm in the room underneath Porky, and he's currently doing one of his streams. So I'm going to be talking a little quieter than usual. How are we all today? I feel like I'm getting a few sniffles here, so I'm hoping it's not going to be a cold. Hope it's a little bit warmer on the Wirral for you, Kathy. I'm on the coast at the moment as well. I'm all right, thank you. But I'm at Porky's, so and he lives a bit further up the coast than you. So I know Eternal Flame, because I've got a bad habit. Can you hear me okay at this volume though, guys and gals? I'm just conscious that I don't want to start talking really loudly and then he bangs on the floor or something. Not that I think he would do that. But if it's a bit hard for you to hear, please let me know. I'm just hoping that the dog doesn't start yapping. I've just had him out again for like walk number 4. So we had a very close call earlier, actually. I took him onto... okay. Well, thanks, Eternal Flame. Well, if anybody has difficulty hearing me because I'm not talking at my usual volume, please just put it in the chat, and I'll try and move the area I'm sitting in. I would have stayed in the kitchen dining room. However, we've got the tumble dryers going at the moment, so, and it's quite noisy, so I've had to come into the lounge. Oh, you've not had a ghost experience? Well, I can't say I have either, Kathy, as such. I haven't seen one, but I've had experiences. And the house, I mean, I don't know if any of you have read the description below this this live, but I lived in my previous home with my ex. We had a farmhouse, and it was over 500 years old. And from the moment we moved in, very strange things were happening. Now, as I said, I never saw anything, but visitors, guests, even the workmen experienced stuff while they were doing the renovations to this house, because we had the interior completely remodelled. Well, I'm saying completely remodelled. Upstairs was completely remodelled. We'd had the kind of the rooms were just changed so that we actually had a gallery as an upstairs hallway on the running along the external wall. No problem, Kathy. And I think a few of you may remember when I talked about this a few weeks ago, that we had they uncovered a priest hole up there while they were re-roofing. They'd noticed that the dimensions inside weren't matching the dimensions on the outside, and the roof was very badly bowed, so it had to be all the purple slates had to be taken off, and it had to be relined and re-leaded and flashed, and all new slates put on there again, because it was completely, when you see some of these very, very old farmhouses and the roofs are badly bowed, along, you know, at the very top. So yeah, they were having to redo the entire roof, and it was a massive, massive farmhouse. And on one edge of it, because it went in an L shape, that was when we got the shout from the builders saying, "Hey, come up here and have a look at this." And you could see in through the roof, where they were all sitting, that there was a room. It had no doors to it, it had been completely sealed up. So we knocked a hole in the plaster from what was going to be a small kitchen upstairs. Oh, sorry, that's the dog playing ragged with his toy. We knocked a small bit of plaster out, just enough so you could maybe fit, you know, maybe just slightly larger than head size, so that you could fit your head, or at least see. And we shone torches in, and within seconds the torches were going flat. We could make out there was like an old mattress, I suppose you could call it. It was really, I mean, God knows how long this room had been sealed up for. There was some form of scrawling on the walls at the other side from where we were looking. So the wall that you could see ended up being the very end of the upstairs bathroom, and the toilet sat against, with the back of the toilet was against that wall. I'm just trying to give you a visual of it. There was some form of writing of some sort on that wall, but every time we tried to view it, the lights would go out, the batteries would go in the torches. And the same thing happened with mobile phones, with everything, even candles. We were trying candles to see if we could see. And you tell me how a candle in a, because we were thinking the candles were blowing out because of a draft. However, we then borrowed a storm lantern and put the candle in that, and that candle went out as well. So who can say? But yeah, there was like an old mattress against one wall that was, and I'm saying a mattress, it was like a sleeping pad, but it was stuffed with straw. There were remnants of straw. There were papers and things on the floor, you know, like writing paper with writing on them, but we couldn't reach them. We would have had to knock the entire wall through. And then, as I said, there was some form of scrawling on the far wall, and I was just like, I'll seal it up again. I just got a really bad feeling about it. And from the moment that that wall was, you know, we knocked a hole in it and we were spying on it, everything started to get a very negative feeling to it. And you know, I'll go through towards the end of this stream, I'll go through some of those things. Just have a look in chat. Eternal Flame. In one home as a kid, felt like someone was sitting on the bottom of the bed. Mum saw a monk in the same house. A few years ago, my sister stayed in my old room. She felt the same and wouldn't sleep. Well, it's really difficult because the farmhouse, I mean, it was undergoing renovations for quite a long time. So sorry, I didn't realise there was a bit more there. She felt the same, wouldn't sleep in that room. She slept with Mum in her bed, and you never told anyone about it. Ah, so then the fact that she was feeling the same way just shows that it was the truth, doesn't it? Well, actually, do you know what? While we're on it, I'll tell you my bits about the farmhouse. So, the house as we bought it was actually completed in 1503. However, there had been a building on the land previously. It was part of old monastic land. Now there had been a monastery and in the area that dated back to the early 1100s. So it was very early 12th century, and where our farmhouse eventually was situated, there had been some form of dwelling there. Now, I don't think it was it was obviously part of the monastery lands, but I don't think it housed monks. It probably, I would reckon it was more than likely to have housed, you know, farm workers or what have you, or serfs even. I really don't know. But there has been habitation on that site at least since the very early 1100s. Then, you know, I suppose over the following centuries, you know, the next 300 or 400 years, that particular dwelling was enlarged and improved and so on. I know that construction on the house we got commenced during the 15th century, so mid to late 1400s, and it was finally completed as the house that we got in 1503. So I knew the history for that part. Now, it had been obviously a farmhouse for a long time. I suppose more like a small manor house, and there was quite a lot of land with it way back when. I mean, there was still a fair bit of land when we got it, but nowhere near what had originally belonged to that property. It then I've got to think now, in the late 17th up to the mid 18th century, it became an inn, a coaching inn, because it was on the main road. Hi, Blue Rose. How are you, my love? It's good to see you, and I hope Sunday was all right for you. I'm just going to tell a few ghost stories tonight, but real ones, not things out of a book. So at the moment, I'm just telling people about my old home. So yeah, because it was on the main road that ran through to Preston, it became a coaching inn for a while, and then following there was actually a murder that occurred there in the 1700s, and which again some of you may remember me telling the tale. And then it reverted back to a farmhouse, and it became a dairy farm for many, many years. And prior to us getting it, a family had it. They were a well-known dairy farming family, and there'd been it was crazy. There'd been a massive fallout within the family, and it ended up that none of because it was brothers and their separate families who all lived there, and because of this bad feeling in the family, they completely stopped talking, and they walled off half of the house, so that one brother and his lot were living in one side of it, and one was living in the other side. And because they were in dispute, and neither of them wanted to do any sort of repairs or renovations to the house as a whole, because the other might have benefited from it, it was basically allowed to fall derelict. And it had been like this for something like 15 years. So eventually it was put up for auction. We got part of it. We got the original farmhouse and part of the land. And the other part, I think it was some of the outbuildings and some of the land, was bought by somebody else. So it was so bad that there was, in one of the rooms downstairs, there was actually a tree growing through the foundations. It was a sycamore tree, and it was virtually a full-size sycamore tree that was growing up and through 2 floors. So yeah, that kind of tells you what the disrepair was like. So so initially we started to do renovations on this house, lived in a caravan in the farmyard for quite a while. Part of the house, so it was literally, we got 1 bathroom, a kitchen, and a very small lounge downstairs. We put some stairs up with a mezzanine into 1 bedroom, and we lived in that while the rest of the farmhouse was being completed. So while we were in there, my dogs were behaving very strangely. They weren't behaving in a scared manner. They weren't, barking at nothing. But one of my collies, and she was a clingy madam, and wherever I went, she was there as well. And she started just taking herself off up the stairs into the bedroom, and I'd think, where's she gone? And I'd go up to, because she wasn't downstairs with the other dogs and me. So I'd go upstairs, and she would be down the side of my bed. Now, where we put the bed, the headboard of the bed was against this very small door that we had boarded off, just to keep the drafts out and things from the main farmhouse, while the builders were in there doing the renovations. So it still had this very thick recess where the door was. The door was only about 5 foot tall, and none of the walls were straight in this house. So the headboard of our bed was against this gap, and the dog would be down the side of the bed, and she'd have all the toys there. This was every single night. And I just thought, well, obviously she's just going to get away from us or from the other dogs, and leave her to crack on with it. But this happened all the time, and sometimes at night, and she'd be down this gap at the side of the bed. Sometimes at night, you'd hear her do like a little excited yap, like she'd do if I wanted to play with her. Little excited yap, and you kind of come into a bit thinking, what's that noise? And you'd wake up and you'd hear her tail wagging like mad, and she'd always be looking towards the head of the bed, where this door was that would have taken you through into the main part of the building. So fast forward, that first year we were in what we called the annex. That first year we were in there, my ex was working away. He was a police officer, and he was stationed down, because we'd come from down south back up here. So he was still stationed down in Hampshire. So obviously we were back. I should say our home was up here, and this was all going through. But through the week I would be on my own, and so I decided on Halloween to would have a bit of a Halloween party. So I got all my friends, and a couple of friends of friends were into the whole ghost hunting. So they had these meters that you could check if ghosts were there, and one of them was training to be a medium, so she reckoned that she could hear spirits and what have you. So probably a bad thing to do, but I did a meal for everybody. I put a stew on, and we all got pissed. Now, I've been told afterwards that getting drunk during a seances or whatever, or trying to speak to spirits, is an incredibly bad idea. But yeah, there were about 10 or 12 of us, all pissed. We turned all the lights off, and we started asking, is there anybody there? Well, knocking started, and at first, you're all giggling and screaming at the same time and thinking, oh, go on, somebody just banged on the wall, somebody banged on the door. But this noise was coming from what was the kitchen in the annex. So I turned the lights on, and I said to everybody, right, I'm had enough of this. Whoever's causing this trouble, I want everybody at the other side of the lounge, just because I don't trust you. And if the noises and the knockings carry on, then we know we've got a ghost. And if the knockings and the noises come from somewhere else, I know it's one of you bitches. So it's basically like that. We're all having a laugh. So everybody moved. So there was nobody. And I went and sat over at that side of the room. So I knew if anybody, anybody moves in the dark, or tries to wiggle over or throw something from that direction where everybody else is, I'm going to know. So carried on again, if there's anybody there, please knock, please make a knocking sound and let us know. And bang, right behind me on what was the door into the door was open into the kitchen, but it just sounded like somebody's fist banged against it. Well, I nearly pooed my pants. Hi Danny, hello love. Just doing a few ghost stories tonight, little true ones, so you can hear all about my 500+ year old house that I'm actually really glad I don't live in anymore. I hope you're feeling much better. If you're back at work, I'm guessing you're feeling better than you did the other day, so that's great. So we obviously had this this almighty bang had occurred. I was like, oh, you are shitting me, you're kidding me. So I was like, right, that's it, let's turn the lights on. Now what had happened was, there were, hi Marie. Oh, thank you, love. Well, if we're helping you go to sleep, that's the main thing. I'm hoping these stories won't be too scary, even though they're ghostly stories. So what was also happening that night, because we'd kind of kicked it off with having a few drinks and having a stew and then being silly, because none of us knew what we were doing. However, one of my other friends had arranged for a medium to come over, and this was somebody from a couple of towns away. She'd been given this lady's name. We'd all thrown some money in together, because obviously you have to pay the lady, and with it being Halloween, they're in great demand, and prices go up. So we'd all chipped in to cover the cost for this lady. My friend had gone to pick her up. She didn't know anything about the local area. She actually came from nearer to the Liverpool direction. So she knew nothing about the local area. She didn't know, the friend that had gone to pick her up. So it wasn't like my friend had filled, and I knew my friend, she was very trustworthy. She wouldn't have filled her in. So this lady came in. Now, what I'd done prior to this was my dogs had gone off to stay with a friend so that they weren't in the way. And I'd moved everything dog related. So all the toys were away. I had a chest with a lid on it. All the toys were away. The drinking bowls and food bowls and everything had gone with them. The beds had all gone with them. So genuinely, if you didn't already know I had a dog or dogs, you wouldn't have known walking into my house, because everything had been moved around and shifted, and there wasn't anything doggy on display. Now, the lady walked in, this medium, and she's kind of rolling her eyes at us, because one was saying, "Oh God, we've had these bangs," and she said, "Did you open the circle and did you close the circle?" And she's rolling her eyes at us, saying, people, she was quite short with us, to be honest, people who do things like this and they haven't got a clue what they're doing, you're going to invite things in that are going to stay here and harm you. Right, she said, "I'm going to, start this all off again." So she basically did a few incantations and she cast some protection around the house and around everybody that was there. And she said, "Right, I'm going to start off." So we've got some candles lit. We're not in complete darkness. And she's kind of meditating a little bit. And she said, was this a sheep farm at some point? So I said, "Well, not that I know of." And as far as I was aware, it wasn't. All I ever knew was that when it was a farm, it had cattle on it, but I didn't tell her this. So I said, "Not as far as I'm aware." She said, "I'm just getting a flash." She said, "When spirit are trying to communicate with me," she said, "when the initial connection is made, things are flashing. I get pictures in my brain and I have to decipher them." So she said, I'm just seeing flashes of sheep." So I said, "Well, as far as I'm aware, in the last, 300 years, 250 years, no, there may have been some sheep on here, but it wasn't a sheep farm." "Right," she said, "never mind, leave that one with me." So she then said, she said, "I'm seeing flashes in my brain of a religious man." And she said, she said, "I know it's, it's corny, and this happens at every haunting in every old house, but," she said, "I'm getting the impression of a monk." She said, "A long time ago." And she said, "Directly above us here, what's that room there?" And I said, "Well, that's our bedroom." She said, "Has it always been a bedroom?" I went, "No, it's just a bedroom until the rest of the house has been renovated." "Right," she says, "Well, he's walking." She said, I can see there is a small doorway." And she said, "He walks from the doorway to the window and then back again from the window to the doorway." And she said, and then vanishes, and he'll do that several times in a day. She said, "It doesn't mean you any harm." She said, "I don't even think he's aware that he's not on the earthly plane anymore." She said, "He doesn't interact with anyone, but," she said, "he makes this journey several times a day." And she said, "But I don't think it was when in this house." She said, "Although he's moving in this house now, I don't think it was this house." She said, "It must have been a building here before, but he's still on that same route." And she said, "It looks as though he's coming from a doorway to your window and back again." So I'm like, right, okay. And then she said, I'm getting this flash of sheep again." She said, "This flash of sheep keeps coming in my head." And she just went, she said, "Hang on a minute." She said, "Have you got a collie?" I said, "I have." She said, "That's why I'm seeing the sheep." She said, "It's sheepdog." She said, I've now," she said, the spirit that wants to speak to me is just connected." She said, it's a gentleman." And she said, "He's an old man." And she said, "I need to go upstairs." So I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So up she went. So we were all traipsing up after, and this bedroom wasn't huge. So there's like a dozen women. and this medium, and she goes up and she kind of stopped still right at the top of the stairs, so we all crashed into each other, and she's putting her hand out going, just be quiet, just be quiet. Felt like I was at school getting told off. And then she turned round and she just said, he's here. She said, he's sitting on the edge of your bed, and this is the exact same side of the bed that my dog used to go. And she said, he's just telling me he loves your dog. She said, and he is saying that your dog brings toys to him. And I was like, yes, shit. Because I hadn't, I'd not mentioned this to any of my friends. My ex knew, and he was just saying, maybe she was just, wanted to take her toys up there out of the way of the other dogs. And she just said, he doesn't mean you any harm. She said, he lived on this farm and he worked on this farm right up to him dying. She said he loved the animals, but he loves the dog. And she said, normally, hi Lisa, how are you? She said, normally I would want to, help a spirit like this to pass over. But she said, he's such a lovely, gentle soul, and he gets such pleasure out of sitting here and interacting with your dog. Because she said, I'm guessing your dog's not scared of him. And I went, no, she sometimes wakes me up at night with a little yap and I can hear a tail wagging. So she said, in that case, she said, he means you no harm. She said, but he doesn't want to go anywhere. So that was our little thing. Now, this happened prior to us finding out about the priest hole in the blocked off part of the building. So I was just like, oh, that's really nice. That's really sweet. Now, following on from the builders discovering the priest hole, and me just saying plaster it up again because I don't want to know, the dynamics in that house changed. And I can't even tell you when that shift happened, because it upstairs felt strange immediately, but the rest of the house changed, and it was sinister. Downstairs was all right, but I would sometimes think I saw things out of the corner of my eye. My dogs started acting differently. One of my dogs would occasionally stand on guard when we were in the lounge downstairs in the main part of the house. Because let me just go back slightly. So we had the annex sorted out originally so we could live in that rather than living in a caravan. They then renovated the downstairs, and so we moved into there. Then they moved on to renovating upstairs. So downstairs, occasionally, one of my dogs, when we were in, and the lounge was huge, when I was in there, and this would happen when I was on my own, he would all of a sudden stand facing the doorway into the hall with all his hackles up and growling. And I started to feel very, very uneasy. But this only ever happened when I was on my own. Also, at 3:10 every morning without fail, in the courtyard outside, so this is if you were awake, which I was quite a lot at the time, in that lounge downstairs, 3:10 every morning on the dot without fail, there would be somebody whistling outside window. And it was weird. I'm going to try and do the whistle, and hopefully I won't set Cooper off, but it literally just went. Oh, no, don't bark, love. Come here, Cooper, come here, come here. Oh, God, I nearly did it. Right, get your toy. No, Cooper, get your toy. Oh, God, I thought he was going to start barking then and really piss Porky off. There's your toy, good boy. So that's the whistling sound that we would hear. And it just used to do it the once, and it used to do it outside of that front window. And it was coming from the courtyard at the front of the farmhouse. And the very first time it happened, I absolutely shit myself, because I thought there was, an intruder on who knew that I was at home on my own, apart from, having the dogs with me. Because I must admit, I went and got the shotgun out. I got the shotgun out and I loaded the damn thing because I thought, yeah, I might end up doing a Tony Martin and shooting an intruder and getting done for it, but you know, whatever. That's how frightened I actually was. But then discovered that this carried on happening. Now, we had CCTV installed at the front not long. Hi, Barbara, how are you, love? Not long after this had happened. It wasn't for this reason, but it was purely my ex was sorting it out because I would be on my own, and he knew that, you know, for safety's sake, because, you know, a woman on her own in a farmhouse, you know, with no immediate neighbours. And yeah, you know, and obviously he was a police officer, so he was quite conscious about the safety aspects. So we got some CCTV installed, and that covered the courtyard. So as this this whistling was occurring, it was happening every night. Nothing was being picked up on the CCTV. So I then was thinking, right, this is probably maybe supernatural. It's actually not. You know, it's not a person. Things were happening upstairs. Quite a few of you remember when I was telling the tale about my friend and I walking. We'd gone up to get a beam of, like, just a plank of wood. There'd been a bit of a storm and one of the stable roofs was coming off. So we knew that upstairs where the builders were, you know, there were a few spare planks of wood. So we went up to get one to actually put on top of the stable roof to stop it blowing off until we could get it fixed. And as we were walking through, carrying this plank, my friend was in front, I was behind her. There was nothing in front of her, nothing that she could have caught her head on. Her head flung back like she'd been involved in a car accident. She dropped the plank of wood at her end, spun round to me, and her nose had been bursted. And she just said, something's just hit me in the face. So I was like, are you sure? And she went, look at the state of my effing face. You know, so it was things like that started to happen. She saw something and then point blank refused to ever. Sorry, Blue Rose love. Something happened to her. She saw something downstairs one time. She said it was a man appeared at the side of a hooded man. She didn't say it was a monk. She just said it was a very tall, sinister black figure that looked like it was hooded right at the side of her. She was taking a fleece off. Long story short, she had no gas and electricity at her house, so I'd said she could come down to mine and have a bath and something to eat and whatnot. And it was while I was out checking on the horses that she was having a bath. She was running the bath. She went to take her fleece jumper off, and as she pulled it up and over and off her head, as it came up over her head, right at the side of her, she saw this black figure that immediately vanished. She refused to ever come in my house again after that point. Now, the following year, we again on Halloween, I got a different medium to come in because by this time we've had a year of, or nearly a year of very strange goings on. Yeah, I know I know, but the thing is, eternal flame. When somebody says like something's just hit you in the face, because there was nothing there. It was just one of those. You know, you got. Are you sure? It was just one of those really stupid things to say. But yeah, it was just because I was shocked. You know, I saw a head fly back. You know, yeah, it's just me. I'm not the brightest or the sharpest knife in the drawer sometimes. So this following year, we got another medium to come out. Now, this lady was highly recommended, and I had been in touch with her for quite a while prior to Halloween. And again, we did it on Halloween. I don't know whether we should have done, but I just thought, you know, the veil is thinnest then, so we can maybe find out what's going on. Now, that time it was a smaller group of us. So there was myself, my friend Laura, my friend Parveen, my friend Kate, and my friend Joe. So there were only, you know, those 5 friends, myself, the medium, and these 5 friends were serious ones. So you know, I knew there wasn't going to be any shenanigans or anything going on. And the medium said, you know, we'll open the circle and everybody, you know, if you can all hold hands and clear your minds, and we'll start to, you know, try and get in touch and see if there's any spirits here. And straight away, now I had not told her, purposefully hadn't told her what was going on. I just said, I think we've got some spirits in this house that possibly need to be moved on. Straight away she picked up on somebody outside. Now I'll tell you this little bit. My friend Jo was she'd got a master's in history, and she used to do a lot of research, you know, for historians and also for novelists and so on. And that's how she used to make a lot of money doing that. She was brilliant. I mean, her expertise had been used by a lot of people in a lot of different countries. So she ended up doing all the research for me on everything. She was taking notes, everything that this medium was saying. So the medium said, there's somebody outside, which point I'm like heart beating. She said, he never comes in. She said, it is a gentleman. He never comes into the property. She said, but he does like to let you know that he's here. She said, does this make any sense to you? I went, I think so. She said, the way he would make, she said, I'll tell you how I think he would let you know. She said, because he's not telling me exactly, but she said, the way that he is, because he doesn't want to frighten you. She said, but I would say it would either be rapping on the window, rapping on the door, whistling, or throwing stones. So straight away when she said the whistling, I thought, yeah. I said, yeah, you're making sense to me. Yes, I know who you mean. She told us about him. He had been murdered. She said he was murdered here. She gave us a rough idea of the date. Pardon me, I'm going to have to cough. She gave us a rough idea of the date. She gave us a little bit of the circumstances surrounding his death. She just said it was very unfair. It was very unjust. It was kind of mob justice. And the guy had been wrongly accused of something due to another person's greed. So Jo's writing all of this down. She then got on to upstairs, because I did say that there was you know, this very eerie feeling that sometimes my dog downstairs would get the hackles up and start growling at the passageway, you know, near the doorway coming out of the lounge. I said that my friend downstairs at the bathroom, she had this horrible experience whereby she'd taken her jumper off and seen this hooded dark figure right at the side of her. And I mean right at the side. I said, to the point that at first she initially, other than it then vanished, she thought there was an intruder in the house. I said that another friend had been jabbed really sharply by what felt like a finger in the small of the back. I explained about my friend having her nose bursted, with the being in broad daylight, that I saw her head go flying back and there was nothing that she'd hit her face on. And I explained about the priest hole that we'd uncovered and then resealed. So we all went up the stairs, because she said, I want to go up there. And I just said, well, I'm not doing like all this most haunted shit where they do everything in the dark. I'm not going up there without the lights on. She's like, no, it's absolutely fine. We don't need it in the dark. It's fine. So we put all the lights on. Everybody had torches as well, just in case, because I said, I'm not getting stuck up here if the lights fail in the dark. I want torches. And we got up there, and as she walked into this tiny little kitchen area, which was at the side, if you remember, I said we had that area where we knocked through into just to have a little look at the priest hole. It was going to be a small kitchen area, and I mean a very small one, just enough to make a brew, and there was room for a fridge in there. And as she walked in through the door, because obviously there were great big beams, she kind of stopped very suddenly, and she just said, oh. She said, to the left. Just give me a second. Stop. She said, to the left of me, she said, I've just had the vision of a lady hanging from one of the beams. She said, it's a suicide. She said, oh my goodness. And then she said, there is a very, very dark male presence here that's connected to the lady that's hanging. She said he mistreated her very badly. She said he didn't beat her. He didn't, she said he was the owner of this property and she was a serving girl, and he got her in the family way and rejected her, and she killed herself. She said this gentleman had some drinking issues. She said, I'm going back maybe 400 years, but she said he had some drinking issues. This was a problem, and she committed suicide. She said she took her own life and that of a child. And she said he is not a nice spirit at all. She said he likes to frighten people. And I'm thinking, oh, here we go. She said he likes to scare people. He would give you if he had enough energy, he would give you a dig or a kick or maybe pull your hair. He said really doesn't like women at all. She said he's not fussy whether it's a man or a woman that he frightens, but if he can scare women, he's quite happy to do it. And she said at the moment, he's more or less confined to the upper floor of the farmhouse. However, he has been venturing downstairs, but not into any of the rooms. And I'm thinking, oh, great, this is what my dog's growling at in the passageway. Anyway, I was going to say a long story short, a short story long. She did a blessing for the lady that she'd seen the vision of hanging. She said she is a troubled soul, and she's not at peace at all. And she said we'll send her over to the other side. She said her and a child will send them over to the other side. So she did that. And then she said, I will help the gentleman who is out in the courtyard, the one that whistles and knocks and what have you. And he never knocked for me. I never heard a knocking, but she was saying, he'd rap on windows and doors, whistle, what have you, throw stones. I only ever heard the whistles, but she said, we'll send him on, because she said he doesn't mean harm to anybody. She said he's stuck here, and she said, I can't believe nobody's ever sent him over before. She said he's just not a happy soul being here, and he just wants to go. So again, she did that. Now, from that day, we never had and that whistling stopped. It never happened again, ever. However, she tried to help the dark spirit that she said was the previous owner of this property, going back, 300-400 years. And she just said he's stuck like glue to this place. She said he does not want to go. And she said he's draining all my energy. It's making me feel like I want to vomit. So she said, I would suggest, she said, somebody more powerful, with more powers, not powers, but skills than me. Because she said, I'm just not as experienced in dealing with dark entities like this. She said, maybe get a priest in, maybe get a paranormal group in, or she said, definitely get a more experienced medium in, because he needs to be sent away, because he's feeding off fear. The more people he frightens, the more powerful he gets. She said he isn't a demon. He's nothing. She said he is just a nasty individual. He was a troubled soul in life. And when you're a troubled soul in life, you carry that over. And she said it just gets worse and worse and worse. So that didn't fill me with any great joy. Anyway, just before I finish off this little piece, so my friend Jo, she, after writing all of this stuff down, she did some research on the property. Now, if you remember at the beginning when I said that it had become a coaching in like the mid to late 1600s, going into the 1700s, before reverting back to a farming property. During the 1700s, so this coaching in, there became a dispute between the owner of the inn and the innkeeper and one of the neighbours who owned adjoining land. And he had on several occasions asked to purchase several of these fields to extend his own property. And the owner of the land had refused. Now, he did used to go drinking in the inn, And on this particular night, the innkeeper and a couple of his friends or colleagues, or I don't know if they worked for him, what have you, but apparently what they'd done was decided to cause an argument and make accusations against this chap who owned the land to try and blackmail him into selling. So they started to make accusations to him publicly while this tavern was full that he had been making advances towards the innkeeper's wife, that he was, trying to commit adultery. And if you think about it, at the time, this was quite a religious area in rural Lancashire. That he had, you've been making advances towards my wife. He is, he's an adulterer, he's a philanderer. And obviously, this chap has taken great offence to it. And, it's one of those, let's take this outside. They ended up outside. And from what Joe could find out, what had started off as was just going to be a case of blackmailing them and saying, we will stop making these accusations if you will sell us, or if you'll give us some of this land. It then escalated, and he was kicked and beaten to death in basically what ended up as my courtyard. He was dragged from the courtyard down into there's a stream. It's a tributary of one of the rivers, so it's quite a big stream. But he was basically dragged from the courtyard. He was already dead at this point, and his body was thrown into the beck. So that was apparently our whistling man, because it was the only murder, and this is what the medium had told us, but it was the only record of a murder that we could find relating to that property. Not saying nothing else had happened, but that's the only one we could find. Oh, hi, Simples. Don't worry, just talking little tales. Now, as far as the dark and nasty spirit, she also found information on him. Hi, Captain Spaulding, how are you? We're just doing a few ghost stories, true ones, if you believe in that sort of thing. Oh, incidentally, Captain Spaulding did a good upload. I had a watch of it, his latest one. I don't know a great deal about the Charles Manson case, but yeah, I enjoyed it. So I'm looking for... No, absolutely no problem. You're welcome for the wrench. I don't know anything about... Well, I know the bare bones of the Manson case, but I'm a bit of a Martian, so I'm going to look forward to finding more out about that. So anybody who hasn't subbed to Captain Spaulding Records Revisited, give him a sub. Interesting stuff, and it was a really good chat to listen to. And the same goes for Danny After Dark. Great channel, give her a sub as well. So as far as this guy, they then found, Joe then found out that his family, it was, I mean, I'm trying not to do too much doxing of myself here, so I'm not going to reveal the name of, oh, there you go. There's the link in. Thank you, Captain Spaulding. I don't want to give, because the surname of this family, it's a very famous family. They have a lot of links to the Pilgrim Fathers who left England and went over to America. I'll not say any more than that. However, they found out, not a problem. I'll promote you anytime. You're very welcome, Captain. This particular property was owned by this very wealthy and famous family back in the 15 and 1600s, and the gentleman who lived there was one of, at that particular time, the sons of the family. He had a lot of issues following the Civil War in England, and had basically been given a living at one of their outlying properties, of which our old farmhouse was one. And They did find incidents of a death of one of the maids in the house, and we're presuming that this was the one who killed herself. Couldn't find any record about it being a suicide. However, everything that they could find out, or that she could find out about the man who had owned, lived, and eventually passed away at that property, indicated that it was this particular spirit that the medium had identified. His name was Francis, and unfortunately, my ex decided to start calling him Mad Frank. And from the moment he started calling him Mad Frank, things got even worse. So I was quite happy, not that we lost the farmhouse, but when we split up and had to sell the farmhouse, I can honestly say I wasn't that sorry, because what had originally been a beautiful, friendly feeling to the house, with you know, in a beautiful situation, lovely old building, beautiful beams, old brickwork and stonework, and what have you. Stop it. The dog again. Just turned into a bit of a nightmare for me. So that is the story of my old house. So I've gone from the end of what I put in the description, and I'm going to probably have to work myself backwards. So I don't know, you know, it's just one of those things. If people will either believe a story or not. I never saw anything. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Blue Rose. They're both great channels. So yeah, so that was the story of my old house. Now, the next one I've got, which was actually the first one. Just a second, I'm going to try and make this dog lie down. Lie down. Maybe the bad spirit caused your breakup. Well, you know, I could think that eternal flame, but actually it was the fact he couldn't keep his dick in his pants that caused our breakup. But, you know, maybe it was Frank encouraging him. Oh, dear. So the next story I'm going to tell you about was my friend Dawn. Now, when I was great, because it's all right, eternal flame makes me laugh. It's one of those, isn't it? It happens. Now, my friend Dawn, when we grew up, again, because I grew up on a farm as well, so she was actually my sister's friend. Definitely not a spirit's fault that someone can't commit to one person. Yeah, absolutely, Captain Spaulding. Just give me 1 second, guys. Stop. God, why does this dog do this every single time we do a ghost thing? The damn dog starts to bark. Just stop. Come on, lie down. Come on. So Dawn was actually the same age as my sister, but a few years later, when she started working at the same place that I did for a couple of years, and we became quite friendly. So I'd already knew her, but I hadn't really, you know, knocked around with her or anything. I think he is, Marie. He always does this. I think what he can do, though, I actually think he can probably hear Porky upstairs shouting. Stop now. Stop. And so I used to go round to hers quite a lot, you know, of an evening after work, or because we used to go running together, and, you know, go back to her house because she still lived with her mum and dad, and, you know, have a cup of tea, have a bit of a chat. And her dad, this particular night, was talking about their house. Now, apparently, on the estate that they lived at, the house that he lived in with his mum and dad and his sister was one of the first ones to be built there. Now, all of this land was, again, we're going back to a dairy farm again, but it was all land that had been dairy farm land going way back. And this was actually in St Helens, if anybody knows the area. Well, you guys from the Wirral, Kathy and Blue Rose, you'll know St Helens. It's in, for those in America, it's in the northwest of England, sort of in between Liverpool and Manchester, those two big cities. And their house that his mum and dad got, and oh, sorry. Love you dearly. I have to eat before it's burnt in the oven. Bye, chat mod. See you all soon. No problem, Blue Rose, love. It was great to see you. And yeah, we'll catch up really soon, hon. Okay. You take care and enjoy your tea. Just say, I had my 3-year-old grandson last week. He sat with his lunch talking away. I had to poke him to get his attention. He said he was talking to mommy. I said, Mommy's at work. He said, not my mummy, your mummy. No. You see, children, it's until it's kind of educated out of them, children, they do know. You know, they only stop seeing things when they're told that those things don't exist. So I never doubt little children like that, because I mean, you know, other than telling little silly lies, they don't know how to lie, do they? You know, it doesn't come naturally at that age. You know, they're so innocent. So yeah, so her dad this night, and he's talking, and he said, have you ever, because we were on the farmhouse further up the hill, and he said, have you ever had any experiences in your house? He said, you know, is your nan and granddad ever? And this is where I'm going to get onto with what my nan said had happened. And I said, well, only my nan, you know, and I was telling him the story, and he said, well, you know about my mum and dad's house, don't you? When I grew up. And I said, well, no. He said, oh, Dawn never told you. No, she's not. So he started to tell us. Now, when they moved into that house, there was the first ones built were theirs and the house next door. So they were basically the first two completed houses with loads of foundations and partially built houses. And these were 4-bedroomed, they were the council houses, 4-bedroom council houses. And they were moved straight in. And this would have been in the it would have been in the 1950s that those houses were built. So, or late 40s or early 50s. So anyway, they got that house straight away. Now, Bill was born in that house. I think he was born in the 1950s, but he was born in that house. His sister was older than him, so she was already born when his mum and dad were given that council house. And he said, as they were growing up, there were all sorts of very strange things used to happen. And they were a very Catholic family, as most people in that area were at the time. They were very religious, very Catholic, strong Catholic family. And he said that things used to happen that sometimes his sister, and this had happened from the moving in the 1940s, you know, the late 40s. His sister, as a baby, would have scratches on her that his mum would attribute, you know, maybe one of the cats, because everybody had cats back then, you know, to keep field mice and what have you out of the houses. So sometimes you think, oh, maybe one of the cats has scratched her, or maybe she scratched herself during the night. But they were never in a position on her body that would make you think something other than either herself or possibly a cat may have done it. And then obviously he was born several years later. And he said as he was growing up, apparently from what his mum had said, he used to get scratches and marks as well. Now, as his sister, I think there was about 10 years between them. She was quite a lot older. As his sister was getting older, she then started to have a lot of stuff was going missing, which she was blaming him for. So I'm talking, you know, she's probably like mid-teens or something, and he's, you know, up to maybe, you know, 4, 5, 6 years old. Things were going missing. She was blaming him for them. And then things started to happen in the house. So he said there were things like the religious icons that were in the house would break or be knocked off the side. So there were things like there were crucifixes on the walls. They'd come down of a morning and the crucifixes were on the floor. They had a little font as you came into the hallway that had holy water in it, you know, so you could come in and bless yourself as you walked in or out the house. That was constantly falling off the wall. So there was all sorts of weird stuff going on. Now, round about this time, somebody gave them a swing to put up in the garden. So Bill said his dad went out into the garden and, you know, he had him kind of helping him, you know, come on, lad, pass me the shovel and we'll dig some holes here, because it was a big metal framed single swing. So they were digging the metal to put it into the ground, pour a bit of concrete on and set it so that it didn't upend when the kid, you know, when they were going to be swinging on it. And this swing was set up, and his sister, being quite a lot older, wanted first go on it because she would be heavier. They wanted to make sure that it was secure. And he said she took a really bad fall off this swing the first time that she was on it, for no reason. And he said it was such a bad fall that she ended up going off backwards, and she split her head open to the extent that she needed a couple of stitches in the back of her head. So, and she'd never explained, she just said it felt like she'd upended herself. And he never had any issues on this swing at all. He said, I actually used to really like it. He said I couldn't half get some really high, you know, heights on this swing, going backwards and forwards and, you know, toing and froing on it. He said he was out there for hours. And there was a base of that his dad had found in the garden that was in situ when they actually put the frame of the swing in. And he said they never, but, you know, it was just like a flagstone, really, in an odd place. He thought probably the builders had left it there, didn't matter, but it made a good foot base for the swing. So as time's going on, he said these things in the house are still occurring. Now his sister has started to have quite bad nightmares. Things are still continuing to go missing. And then at one point, they actually had quite a bad fire that occurred in the lounge with no apparent reason for it. At first, they were thinking maybe a coal, because they all had open fires, maybe a hot coal had jumped out of the fire and, you know, or a spark or something had caught onto the rug, and that was how it had gone up. Nobody was hurt. You know, they had quite a lot of smoke damage, but, you know, and the house hadn't been burned down, but this had just happened. And he said that over the course of the next 2 or 3 years, there was fires were happening in the lounge, you know, and he said his dad had got this huge fire guard that covered the entire, you know, every opening that was around the open fire. Nothing was going to get through it. But he said these fires were still occurring. And it was always in the same spot, like the centre of the room. So that was why they were thinking that, you know, a hot coal or a spark had floated out of the fire and caught in that particular direction. But he said it was always the same thing. So these are like 3 further fires. And then the crosses were going missing. So his mum had crucifixes over both children's beds, as a lot of Catholic mothers did back then, and one over their own bed. And he said the crucifix that was over his sister's bed went missing, just went. Sister didn't know. It was there one evening when they went to bed. The next morning they woke up, it wasn't there. The mum was blaming them both, the kids thinking, you know, that they were up to no good. But he said his sister was like, this point, mid to late teens. So, you know, she's past the childish prank stage. He said he's getting blamed for it and it isn't him. So his mum says, you know, I'm going to get the priest to come in. I'm going to get the priest to come down because something's not right in here. I don't like the fact that the crucifixes are falling off the wall still. I don't like the fact that one's gone missing. I don't like the fact that the font, the holy water font, keeps jumping off the bleeding wall. And I don't like the fact that both my children, as little uns, ended up with scratches and scrapes. So they went to the local priest and they asked, could they get somebody to come in and just bless the house because they felt that there was something untoward. So the priest did. And he came in and he blessed the house and he blessed each room and he gave both children a string of rosary beads as a gift, you know, and he was saying, and these have been blessed, you know, the Pope's blessed these, they're really special rosary beads, and, you know, say your prayers at night and with these and keep them at the side of your bed, and you know, God will look after you, all this lot. And Bill said that that first night after the priest had gone, his sister's rosary beads were on her bedside cabinet. And when she woke up the next morning, there were just beads all over the floor, like somebody had snapped them. So his mum is in a little bit of a panic now when she rings the priest back, and the priest is saying that maybe, you know, his sister had caught them in a sleep, you know, had done something and wasn't aware she'd done it. But the mother was getting quite frantic at this point and saying, I really would like somebody to come out. So the priest arranged for, now Bill said it was an exorcist. I don't think it was. I think it was probably just, I mean, because he was talking from his experience as a boy, and maybe he was viewing it differently as he got older, but he did say it was the exorcist, you know, the exorcist from the Archdiocese of Liverpool. I don't know, but he said a bishop and this exorcist came out to the house. And just give me 1 second, because this dog is eating something that he shouldn't be. Give me that. What have you got? What have you got? God, he's got a piece of flipping plastic. So he said that they came out to the house and they were walking around the property. So they looked in the house, they blessed the rooms, and this guy, who he said was an exorcist, wanted to look around outside. And now the way he described it, I think that this was, I mean, he did say he was a priest, but to me, he sounded more like he was a psychic or a medium. Now, whether, I don't know, whether some priests who work in that field have got psychic abilities, I don't know. But he said that he was drawn to the swing area. And when they got down to the swing, immediately he said, what is this stone that is underneath the swing? So Bill's dad was saying, well, it were there when we put the swing up. He said, I think it was just an old flagstone or something that, you know, the builders had cast aside and left. He said it were covered in grass, but it just looked like a good base. The kids have got something to launch themselves off, you know, without getting slutchy feet when the grass is wet. And he asked, could they lift it? And they lifted it, and on the other side of it, it turned out that it was actually a gravestone. It was a grave marker, quite old. It had a date on it of 16. I can't remember the exact date. It was 16 something, the date on this. And then when they went through the rest, because the gardens in these houses in this particular area of the estate were absolutely huge. It was before simple as, well, I didn't when he's telling me this. They found the hedge line at the very bottom. They found another grave marker. They then found in the adjoining property, there was another grave there. So they found out that back in, well, I think it went back to the late 1400s, but there had been a chapel in that area. It wasn't on any of the maps. So they then got, and I'm going to presume that they were archaeologists. I don't know. Bill didn't seem to know. He just said the council arranged for somebody. They came down and they actually dug up, and there were bodies in the garden. So there were 2 in their garden. I can't remember how many he said were in the next door one. So they, you know, they like weren't ancient bodies. They were, you know, 300-400 years old at the time. But yeah, so once the bodies had gone, all this this activity in the house stopped. I mean, he said the bishop and who he thought was an exorcist, they did do a full blessing of the garden and inside the house. When these bodies had been removed, they did come back. And he said after that, there was never any more issues. So that was my friend Dawn. Well, I was saying Dawn's grandma's house, but it was a dad who told us the story. So I don't know what you think of that. I think I would have absolutely shit myself if I found a gravestone or a tomb marker in a garden. But they didn't know. It was just up, you know, it was upended. the flat face of it was what the kids had been using for a couple of years as a launch off for the base for the swing. Yeah, so and the thing is, Simples, I don't know where those bodies ended up. I don't know where they would have been reinterred, whether it would have been at the main graveyard in St Helens, or whether the Archdiocese of Liverpool would have taken them, or whether you know, whoever dug them up, be it the council or archaeologists, whether they then took them. I really don't know. I really don't know. But they actually took the grave markers away with them as well, so there was no, there wasn't anything left there, you know, of the cemetery. But this links in to the little bit that I put in about the, you know, playful child spirit with my nan, you know, pestering my nana, because their house was further up the hill. It was away from this estate, but it's further up the top of the hill. Now, when they moved into that house, obviously, you know, back in the day, they didn't have a fitted kitchen. You know, there was a range was in there, and there was water, and there was like an old copper boiler, like that they used to boil up the cotton clothes in and whatnot. But there was a big old Belfast sink. Oh, let's have a look. They might have put them all together and buried them with a memorial stone. They might have done eternal flame. And I'll be honest with you. I never thought about it till I started to tell this story. I never really thought about it. And then I was thinking, I wonder what happened to them. But it's funny, isn't it? Because it's years ago I heard this story. So yeah, so going back, so in this kitchen there was like a Belfast sink, and my nan, apparently she used to do all her hand washing. She had like a scrubbing board and what have you, and she used to do all the hand washing at this waist high Belfast sink. Now, and my nan, as you all know, and I've talked about her before, she was very Catholic, religious, didn't believe in the supernatural, none of this. However, she did used to tell us this tale because she said she used to think my mum and Uncle John at the time were kids, and because wasn't quite, there was only about a year between my mum and my Uncle John, so they were very close, and they were more like twins than anything. You know, they played a lot together. Now, my nan said that many a time, because she'd have an apron on, and she said many a time when she'd be standing at that sink doing the hand washing, she said she'd feel her apron, you know, as though the bow that you tied it with at the back, somebody pulling one of the strands, and her apron ended up dropping round her feet. And she said this went on for a couple of years, and she was blaming my mum and Uncle John. You know, she'd like be shouting at them, and they'd say, well, what are you on about? And she said, and denying it. So she said they'd then get a slap for being liars. But she said that this particular day, she felt very slowly, she felt this apron being, the bow was being pulled, and my nan wasn't a liar. You know, she told me this one, and she was genuine. And she said she reached round behind, because she's thinking, I've got you now, you little bugger. She said a hand came round quickly, and she grabbed hold of a wrist, thinking that it was my mum or my Uncle John. And she felt the wrist in her hand, and as she turned round to see who it was, she said it was like it just dissolved. She said there was no wrist there, there was no child there, just nothing. So, and that was the only thing that ever happened in that house. But it was, and there wasn't any, you know, there were no graves on that land. But it was just funny that, you know, Bill had said, as your nan and granddad ever had any experiences in that house, and that was the one thing that happened, you know, had been plagued by this. And she always did put it down as a child spirit. She just said, you know, I think it's a child. I think it's a child. So yeah, so that was what happened there. Sorry, just read the comments. A girl who I worked with years ago was babysitting her next door neighbour's little boy. She was bathing him. I think he was 4-ish. So he's running about trying not to get bathed. She follows him into his bedroom, and he's standing there looking at one wall with his hands on his hips. Then he says, you know what it says? It's my name, pointing towards the name on his door. Old dears don't like. No, my nan would have. No, she'd have cut her own tongue out. I think I just find it more disturbing when kids spot things like simple saying, like you said, eternal flame. You know, mentioning saying hello to your mum. It's yeah, the too innocent and not experienced enough, I don't think, to make up things like that. And then if I go on with sorry, Cooper's just been an absolute knob at the minute. He's boinging all over the sofa. Lie down, and stop being a knob. Lie down. Yeah, he's not doing anything. He's decided he doesn't do anything that I ask him to do. He only does what Porky asks him to do. And then the last tale that I had was from my friend Laura. Now, I'm guessing, have any of you heard of Hoghton Tower? And that is I'm trying to think how far it goes back. I'm sure that's originally a Norman tower. Oh, hi, Denny. Hello. I've just been doing a few ghost stories, Denny. So just things about my farmhouse. It was just stuff because Porky's doing his stream, so I was sat downstairs bored, and I thought, well, I don't need to do any research on any of this, because these are all tales that either, you know, I had myself from a farmhouse, or that friends have told me. And I was just going to go on to the last one that oh, sorry about this. Stop it, Cooper. God, he's been an absolute nightmare. So yeah, if any of you have heard of Hoghton Tower, it is quite famous place. Beautiful. As I said, I'm pretty sure the original part is a Norman tower. It's owned by the de Hoghton family and has been, you know, forever. Now, my friend Laura was a friend of that family, and years ago, I think she was, God, how old were they? Probably about like teens, 16, 17, 18-ish. They were invited to stay over as for a sleepover. So it's a load of girls, and obviously, you know, they're staying in a castle, which is really exciting. And the rooms there, because they actually do tours around Hoghton Tower, you know, like they do around a lot of big stately homes. This isn't a massive stately home, but anyway. So during well, it's not far from me, but like I said, my friend Eternal Flame, she was, so you know what it's like, you know, it is Norman, isn't it? They do ghost hunts there as well, down in the cellars and crypts. So what my friend Laura had said was, when they were staying over, they were allowed to actually sleep in these the rooms that during the daytime are the ones that are, you know, they're roped off so that people can go and you know, they view them. But yeah, they were actually staying in these ancient beds and whatnot. And she said that earlier in the evening, when they kind of all, oh, just bear with me 1 second, stop. Earlier in the evening, I just cracked the dog with my elbow by mistake. He crawled behind me. Earlier in the evening, she said that her and another girl, it wasn't the member of the family who lived there, it was one of the other girls from the school. And oh, what's that link for there, Denny? Is that for Hoghton Tower or something else? So she said that earlier in the evening, so they'd had dinner, and I think her and another of the friends from school were sitting in one of the rooms. I don't know if it was the one Laura was staying in or the one that the girl was staying in. Oh, medieval. Right. I wasn't sure if the original, that there were foundations or what have you, or if the original had been built back in Norman times and, and then built as it is today. But for some reason, I had it in my head that it was originally Norman. But anyway, and she said, so this is early evening, and she said we could hear children. Oh, there's a link to a channel I found today. A guy does spirit box sessions. If anyone gets time, check out the Steve Irwin one on his channel. Beautiful and heartbreaking. Oh, right, Denny. Cheers. There's me thinking you've got a link up for Hoghton Tower. Thank you, Denny. So yeah, they're sitting. They're just having a chat in one of the bedrooms. Like I said, I don't know if it was the one Laura was staying in or the one her friend. It's Hoghton Tower, Denny. It's spelled Hoghton. Hoghton, it's pronounced, but Hoghton Tower, and it's in Lancashire. Hoghton. Just so people can kind of see it. So yeah, so they're sitting and they're having a bit of a gab. And then she said, there is a locked door in one of these rooms that obviously would, if it was unlocked, it would have led you through into the next room. And she said, while they're talking, they can hear children. Like, when kids, they think they're being quiet, but they're actually not. So they think they're whispering, but they do what I say, which is whispering over 10 fields. And they said it's that kind. She said they can hear giggling, but it's quite muffled because it's the other side of the door. So they're not sure if there are other members of the family there with children for this particular weekend. So they didn't think anything of it. And they're carrying on talking. And then there's rapping coming on this door. So they're rapping back, giggling. We'll give them a fright and rap, rap, rap. And then these kids are rapping back and then they're giggling. And Laura and her friend are giggling. And thanks, Denny. Thank you very much. So yeah, as you can see, it's a beautiful place. The grounds are beautiful. And if ever anyone's in the area, they do the first Sunday. Oh, sorry, I think it's the second Sunday of the month. They do a farmer's market there, which is brilliant. I can always be fine there, trying to look for a good bargain and buying all my veg. So yeah, so they're kind of having this little giggling match with these kids the other side of the door. The kids are rapping on the door, they're rapping back at them. The kids are like making, singing, and then the rapping and the giggling. Anyway, in the end, they stopped and Laura and a friend carried on the natter. And then they'd all agreed to go for a walk round the grounds. So when they met up outside, the whole group, I think it was just before dusk. And from what I can gather, I'm sure it was like early summer. It was probably about 7 or 8 o'clock they were going for this walk. So they met up and they're outside and they're just chit-chatting. And because they hadn't thought that it would be necessary to mention these children, because it didn't seem to be any, it wasn't anything supernatural or spooky. It hadn't frightened them. They genuinely thought that these children were part of, the bigger family party that was staying over for this weekend. And she just said, I don't know how it came out into conversation, but out in conversation it came. And these children got mentioned, about, we were having I don't even know if it was Laura or a friend who mentioned it first, but it was like, we were having a giggle with the kids earlier. And the friend who lived there went, what you're about? And they said, the kids who were rapping on the door, have you not got some other family members staying here? Or maybe they were visitors that were delayed. And the friend just kind of looked a little bit oddly at them and kind of gave a bit of a smirk and went, okay, well, we have been told, I've never heard them, but we have been told by numerous people that they do hear children talking and singing and laughing in, a couple of the different rooms. along here. And she said, funnily enough, a few days ago, we actually had workmen in who were doing some rewiring in one of the rooms. And they also said that there were kids rapping and giggling on the walls to them. And they thought that they were, you know, children just having a bit of fun, and they were knocking back and talking to them. And she said, you know, when we finally said that, no, there aren't any children here, the workmen were quite shocked as well. So Laura was saying, well, I'm not frightened. She said, you know, they didn't do us any harm. And that was the end of that. But she said a friend was completely freaked out by it. Laura wasn't bothered, but a friend was. So she said that the friend ended up, because it was I think it was a double bed they were in. A friend was like, I'm coming, stopping in there with you. I'm not staying in mine on my own. No chance. So they ended up top to tailing in this double bed all night. And Laura did say that through the night, occasionally it felt like something was tugging on the bedclothes. And initially she was thinking, you know, when you share a bed with somebody, they roll over and the clothes get pulled with them. But she said it was more than that. It was like a tug, tug, tug. She said her friend had woken a couple of times in the night while Laura was asleep, experiencing something similar. But she also said that at some point in the night she felt that something had sat on the end of the bed because she felt a depression. She thought Laura had woken up and was sitting on the bed, and then rolled over and realised, no, she's actually still fast asleep, because don't forget they're top to tail. So as she sits up, she can see Laura's head at the other end of the bed. And she said that apparently went on all night. And the next morning when they were getting up, that a friend had gone back into her own room to get her stuff together, you know, to get a bath or a shower or what have you, and said that her bag, now bear in mind that bedroom door was locked. Her belongings in the bag had been kind of strewn. Nothing was missing, but things were out. Her bag was over and things were on the floor. Now, yeah, could it have been somebody else coming in to try and scare her? Absolutely, it could have. I don't think there were any pets that could have got in to kind of have a rummage through a bag and throw everything out, but it just seemed a bit of a coincidence that they'd had all of this go on through the night, and when she went back to her own room, that her belongings in her overnight bag were kind of strewn around the place. Nothing was damaged, and as I said, nothing was missing from what Laura had said. You know, it was just as though someone has gone in the bag, pulled everything out to have a look at it, and just couldn't be arsed putting it back in again. So that was Laura's experience at Hoghton. Now, when she was telling me this, it's quite a few months ago she told me this story, and it only came up because I'd found on the website that they do these ghost hunts, but you go by torchlight at night. So you go and you have a supper there. So they do you a big supper, and then you go down into the dungeons and the crypts, and it's purely by torchlight. So I think that would be quite good fun. But I don't know anybody who's been. I'd love to find someone who's been on one of the Hoghton Tower ghost walks and see if it was any good. I knew a family in Kent that spent many years rebuilding a very dilapidated house. In the early days, my mate's dad used to stay there alone on weekends to get it basically livable. Oh, where's this one going to go, Denny? It's going to be a scaredy one, isn't it? Because I got as far as the anyways, so I thought, yeah, there's more to come. One night he's asleep. He woke up and saw a woman looking down through a hole in the ceiling at him. Are you kidding me? She said, you're younger than I thought. Then she disappeared, looking through a hole in the ceiling. Oh, now that would have, yeah, I can't even. That would freak the shit out of me. What did he do, Denny? Did he leg it? Because I would have done. There'd have been gum marks. I can't think of anything worse than seeing somebody looking back at you. I watched, yeah, I'd be gone as well, Eternal Flame. Like I said, there'd have been cartoon gum marks. It'd have been like Speedy Gonzales down the street with my legs going in circles. I was watching one of the Casper site videos, you know, where he reviews other paranormal videos, and he does like a watch through and talks it through with his subs. And there was one where a couple of lads had gone into an abandoned home. I think it was in America. And they'd kind of heard a noise on the floor upstairs, but they couldn't go up there because the floorboards were rotten, and you know it was obviously very dangerous. But it's only when they got home. Some of you may have watched this. It's only when they got home and they were reviewing the video. There's like a notch in one of the rotten floorboards above them. And as they're panning round with this video, so they obviously didn't see it at the time, you see an eyeball looking through this hole in the floor at them. It blinks and then moves to the side really creepily and slowly. It just moves out of the way. So I don't think that was a setup. I think that was real. He was a big old tough fireman. He did not scare easily. He just went back to sleep. Are you kidding me, Denny? Was he on glue? I used to get strange feelings in that house, but never saw anything myself. Well, it's like me in the farmhouse. I felt things very, very occasionally. I'd think I saw something out the corner of my eye, but never did. But it was more of my dogs. You know, their reactions were a bit crackers. Not so much in the annex when one of my collie bitches would just go up with her toys to the old fella. You know, the spirit of the old man that I was told was there. But when we were in the other part, we moved into the main part of the farmhouse, and I had my old dog, and he was hackles up snarling at that door. And it was only when I was on my own. And it made sense with that second medium who came in saying that this Francis, you know, he got off on frightening women because it never happened when my ex was there. It only happened when I was on my own. Yeah, I bet it's a good hunt at Hoghton Tower as well. Eternal Flame. I would really like to do that one. I might see if Porky fancies doing it, especially if you get a good supper as well. I don't do things that creep on ceilings or low on the floor. No, no. There's something really. I mean, definitely things creeping on the ceilings. I mean, that's freaky as out anyway, isn't it? But things creeping low on the floor, that's kind of a slithery. It gives you that creepy, unnatural vibe, doesn't it? It was like with that scene that they cut from The Exorcist. Did anybody see it? The spider walking, and they cut that from the original film. I'm not sure if it's on the director's cut or not, but they basically had that young girl walking kind of backwards in a crab, but coming down the stairs, and they called it this spider walk. I've not seen Exorcist 3, Denny, so I don't know if it's any good. Oh no, I've not seen it. I saw the original Exorcist, and then I saw the one with Stellan Skarsgård in it, you know, Exorcist the beginning. They're the only ones that I've seen. Is it any good, that Exorcist 3? So I don't know what any of you think about you know, about any of those stories, or because as I said, you know, that they're not out of a book. They're as they've been told to me. You know, Laura's one of my very good friends. She's a very straight person. Dawn's dad, you know, that was his. The one with the one from my nan, again, my nan wasn't a lie teller. She didn't believe in the supernatural, but she was convinced that there was a spirit of a child in that house. And then my stories, you know, if people choose to believe me or disbelieve me, that's absolutely fine. You know, I've got nothing to prove. It's just that that is what happened. And the fact that, you know, when my friend did the research on it and she went through archives, she went through everything that she could find, historical documents, and everything that she could find matched up completely with what this medium had told us. So, you know, That's why I think that medium was very good, although she did say we'd have to get somebody more experienced. And I'll be honest with you, we didn't. We never. I just wanted to leave it alone. And unfortunately, when we split up and then the farmhouse was sold, I suppose I should have said something and I didn't. I didn't actually say anything to the people who ended up buying it. Oh, thanks, Eternal Flame. Like I said, there were just a few little ones, and it was only because I thought, well, there's nothing on the telly. He's up. I can hear him keep shouting. He must be dying. He's getting killed. They're like shouting and laughing. Oh, you like that one as well, do you, Denny? The beginnings one with Skarsgård. It was a bit weird though, wasn't it? I'll tell you which one I really don't like in which part in the original one. Did he have to disclose when I sold? Nope. There was no disclosure. We weren't asked. And I weren't telling. I mean, I don't know if do you have to do that now? I know that the different rules in America, aren't there? And you do have to say if there's been a murder, there's been a murder. My family said I saw my granddad at the top of my nan's stairs when I was about 3. He died 6 months before I was born. I'd only go upstairs after that if I took one of the cats with me, but you don't remember. Oh. Well, the thing is, why a cat? Did you not have any dogs, Denny? I mean, has anybody in chat got a story they want to share? See my granddad, but I do remember taking the cat up with me till I was like 14, those poor buggers. So we push out a few logs, God rest him. Do you know what, Denny, as well? Do you know what, Eternal Flame? I was just about to ask the same thing. Was he a cat lover? I'll tell you what I got really frightened at. When you remember things and, right, okay, so you felt safe with them. Well, they say that cats have got one foot in each realm, don't they? That's why a lot of pagans have cats as well. They make you closer to the spirit world. I don't know. Actually, everyone hated him and would never discuss him. Oh, God. Poor chap. You see, I remember my nan telling me, that there's a lot of like old wives' tales, and if like you spill salt, you throw it over your left hand, your left shoulder. And I remember my granddad used to say that, throw it over your left, spill salt, throw it over your shoulder to blind the devil. Poor Granddad Wally, love you, pal. Yeah, Granddad Wally, love from us all here. And then my nan had said, I just remember going into the bedroom one night. She sent me upstairs for something, and I went into her bedroom, and she'd ended up, although she'd asked me to go in for it, she followed me up. I don't know if she was bringing something upstairs or she'd remembered something. And as in her bedroom, she had one of those old-fashioned dressing tables, with the mirrors, the sides folded out so you could get an all-around view. I think they were like a 1940s mirror. And there was a big mirror on the front of her wardrobe, and there was also a big mirror on one of the walls. Well, I just went into the bedroom to pick up whatever it was. I think it might have been a shawl she was after, now that I'm thinking about it. She came in behind me and she went mad. She went, "Turn those lights on." And I said, "Well, look, I'm only nipping in, Nana." And she said, "If you look in one of those mirrors in the dark, you'll see old Nick over your shoulder," meaning the devil. And that stuck with me. That stuck with me. And to this day, if I walk in a room and there's a mirror and I've not got the light on in the room and there's a mirror, I can't look in it. I cannot look in the mirror until the light's been turned on, because I'm terrified of seeing the devil appear over my shoulder. What is that all about? I mean, is that just an Irish thing because she was Irish, or is that just a Great British thing or a Catholic thing or a Christian thing or whatever. I really don't know. I've got a story I'll read. I forgot to get the mince out of the freezer. Oh well, it's kebab. I'm fuming. Well, he said I'm foaming. I'm presuming that means you're fuming. I think we might be having a kebab tonight. Apparently, Porky said that there is what's supposed to be one of the best kebab shops in the whole of Britain in this town, and it's an Armenian place. I cover mirrors at night or turn them, kiss they are portals, so I've read. Right, so there is, yeah, well, I've heard about them being portals, so that they can be, because a lot of the times when they do these investigations, you know, they'll say, oh, there's this mirror and you need to remove it from the house. Told not to place mirrors facing each other. Is that right, Eternal Flame? And is that for any supernatural reason? Do you know? Or you know, or is it just considered bad luck or something? Oh, a Turkish one. Oh, kofta. Oh, I love kofta kebabs. I get those on a naan bread. Kofta kebab with raw onion. I don't like them with all that salad shit. Keep the green shit. I don't want it. It's got to be a kofta kebab with loads of raw onion and absolutely bartered in garlic sauce. That's my idea of a good tea. And I might get some spicy chips with it as well. Ah, right. Oh, okay. So you think it's a portal thing? Oh, have you simples? Do you know that those old dressing tables are still in that house? My aunt lives in it now. And I hate her talking like this because she's 78 now, but she keeps saying to me, you know, if there's anything you want out of this house, let me know now and I'll make sure it's in me will. You know, I don't want people fighting over belongings when I've gone. And I keep saying to her, I don't want to talk about this. And she's like, well, you know, I'm 78. I'm not getting any younger. I'd rather you just address it now, which I don't want to because I don't like talking about or thinking about people dying. But I was going to say to her, because she's got the matching wardrobes as well. And I did want to say to her, you know, I really like those. You know, that she's got the chest of drawers, the dressing table, and the wardrobes. And the wardrobe, the big wardrobe that's in the main bedroom, it was my nan and granddad's, and it's got a his and a hers side to it. And on the hers side, there are shelves, and they've got little brass plates on each shelf. And one says stockings, gloves. What was the other thing? Corsets. And on the man's side, it's things like, you know, collars, cuffs, ties. They're really nice, beautiful old furniture. I love my furniture. Got it after Dave died as a set. It's a friendly one. Yeah, I really like them. I love old-fashioned furniture. Yeah, well, I don't. She won't get rid of the maternal flame. I think it was just more a case because my sister's a bit of a scrag, shall we say? I shouldn't say that, but she is. She's one of these that'll just want to, you know, if there's nobody's name on it, she'll. Whereas I know that I'm probably being really unfair, but yeah, my sister's an odd one. Whereas I would be, you know, I know it's coming. As and when it happens, I would be more sitting in that house just crying for my aunt and reminiscing, whereas my sister will be walking around putting a price tag on everything. Yeah, well, that's what I thought, Tiz, but it's just I don't want to say to her, you know, I want this. All I've said to her is, because there's a huge old solid wooden bedding chest and it's got beautiful carvings on it, you know, like in the corners on the front, it's got like acorns and oak leaves and things on it. And that was my nan's, and it was a wedding present to my nan. Her and my granddad, they got married in 1938, and that was their wedding present. And I said that I said, if anything, I would love that. I would love that. But yeah, the thing is, my sister's a bloody Philistine. She's one of these that would, I don't know, Denny. I don't know. I mean, 1938, possibly. I mean, you know, it needs revarnishing. The varnish is coming off the wood in spots, but it's a very light colour. It's nice. Yeah. And I love old furniture. Morning all. Just going to listen, have woken up with a banging headache. Oh no, green eyes. Oh God. Is this going on from your back? Wonder if it's because you've been tensed up with your back pain. Because it all relates, doesn't it? I know when I'd done my back and I was getting myself so tense up, and the tension went into my neck, and I was living with banging headaches for all those months that my discs were slipped. Yeah, Denny. Yeah, it's just one of those, isn't it? I think because I wouldn't want to sand it down and ruin it or something. But yeah, and there are a lot of people. I mean, there are a lot of furniture places, aren't there, where people, um, you know, can sort stuff out. Morning green. Oh, mate, I'm sending get well. I know, Danny. There's nothing worse, isn't there? Don't know. Went to bed with it and woke up with it. Think it may be. Yeah, it's all related, isn't it? Back pain. It just affects everything. I mean, I remember when mine first went, prolapse, the disc in my back. I've never felt anything like it, and it was even things as simple as going to the toilet. Just something as simple as that. The shooting pains that were going up my back and into my leg, and the pain coming from the nerve pain. It wasn't just that, you hear people say, oh, I've got sciatica, and they just mention it in the leg. Mine was in my arm. I also had radiating pain going across my hip, and I was that tensed up. Bang, it was there in my head. So I really hope you feel better, Green Eyes. I feel so sorry for you. I wouldn't wish back pain on my worst enemy. Well, I might wish it on shitload and piles. Does that make me a bad person? Probably. Oh, mental back too. God knows how many times I've heard it. Oh, simples, that's awful. You're right, eternal flame, headache and toothaches, they are the worst. Because you can't get to them, can you? If you see what I mean. A toothache, it's the nerve that's in your gum that you can't actually get to, and you can't press it. And your headache's the same. You can press the outside, but you just want to rake your fingers in there and give it a good old squeeze. They were meant to have sorted the nerve pain with surgery, but left you with chronic pain. Oh, Green Eyes, I feel so sorry for you. I really do feel sorry for you. There's nothing even that you can say, is there? If it was the fact that I'm just going to say just slipped a disc. I don't mean that to sound as flippant as it does, but at least there are exercises that you can try to do to relieve the pain. But when it's actually damage that's resulted from surgery, other than sending you virtual hugs and saying, I really hope you feel better, there's nothing else I can offer. I haven't taken all the blooming nerve out. You'd need something numbing. Oh, well, do you know what? I reckon everybody in chat, please, I'm going to throw something out there. Just as I'm going to say this, can everybody, now I believe in positive thoughts and the power of healing and in the universe. So I'm going to ask people if you'll do this for me, right? I'm just going to read what Green Eye says, and then I'm going to ask you to do this. The worst is right at the bottom of my tailbone. Feels like I have a poker stuck up my arse. Want to chop my legs off at times. Oh, God love you. Right. This is what I want you to do. So I want everybody, and it's only going to take a second. If everybody can please close their eyes, I'm going to talk you through this. Please close your eyes and envisage from behind your eyes a white light shooting up through the top of your head like a big beam of white, beautiful, brilliant light. Okay? And send it shooting up into the sky and to Green Eyes. And just have, it doesn't matter if you don't know where she is, just imagine Green Eyes is just above you and you're sending that white light into her. Okay? And as you're sending the white light, just start thinking healing thoughts, no pain, healing thoughts, no pain. Just do this for 1 minute and I'll tell you when to stop. So white light, healing thoughts, no pain for Green Eyes. White light, healing thoughts, no pain for Green Eyes. And while you're doing that, keep doing that, ladies and gents, and Green Eyes, I'm going to ask the universe to take your pain away, because we all love you, we think you're great, and I hate to think of somebody as nice as you suffering like you are. So for the best of my ability, I am going to send you every little bit of healing energy that I've got. And if anybody practices Reiki or remote healing, can you please send something to Green Eyes? Just by the power of your brain, send it via the universe, send it via this channel, however you do it, because we've got a good friend here who's really suffering at the moment. So, right, thank you all, anybody who did that, thank you so much. And hopefully, my thoughts are, because I always think positive, I don't think if, I think when that finally reaches Green Eyes, she will tell us all and say, do you know what? That pain's just eased. So that's what I'm going for. So, and just as you stop doing it, please say, thank you, universe. This is in your head. Thank you, universe, for listening to me and sending healing to Green Eyes. So there we go. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for indulging me on that one. But I know somebody on another channel did that once. It was a few years ago. I know, Green Eyes, I'm gone, I'm having a wait. Well, it's okay. I'm sure she can do it when she comes back, or she might have been hearing me talking. Just so long as she remembers to send healing white light and not a shower of piss, else you're also not only going to be having back pain, you're going to have a golden shower as well. You're welcome, Green Eyes. You deserve it, love. You're one of the kindest people I know, so there you go. Have that. Have a bit of healing. Thank you, Denny. And Simples and Kathy and Eternal and whoever else is in here. If Danny is still in here, you'll wake up wet. Hey, there's worse things to wake up as, Green Eyes. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more. Lucky I didn't channel blue waffle nightmares. Yeah, maybe we should do that next time. If anybody really pisses us off, let's just do send the universe getting them to send them blue waffle images. Oh, my candle is being lit in Green Eye's name tonight. Thank you, Simples. There you go. Feel better already. Thank you, Kathy, love. Thank you. I know you might think I'm crackers, everybody, but I do believe in the power of positive energy. So you're all brilliant. Thank you, everybody who did that for Green Eyes. Marie, CBD does help Green Eyes. I use it, but the slow releasing morphine helps a hell of a lot. It just causes bruising. Feel better soon, my love. Thank you so much, Marie. Thank you so much. I mean, and I don't mind doing that anytime. If ever anybody needs a little bit of remote good wishes or thoughts or healing energy, let us all know. Do you know what, Eternal Flame? I do the Bowen, well, I used to do the Bowen method on one of my horses. She had a tumour and she was suffering terribly with pain from that, and then somebody told me about the Bowen technique, and I do try and do it on Cooper because I believe it should calm dogs down, but it does F all for him. I think he's just past the point of no return, that dog. Random person to random therapist. What is a cheesy nacho and why does it haunt my dreams? Well, listen, the next time, I'll tell you what we can do, because obviously we have to keep it light in here. The next time somebody pees us off, Hiya, Jules. No, listen, better late than never, lovely. Better late than never. The next time somebody pees us off on YouTube, right? So, right. I didn't know it started with horses. It was just somebody I knew had suggested it, and it did help. Yeah. So what I think we should do, because obviously we do like having a bit of a laugh and a giggle in here. So I think the next time somebody really pees us off, we should do that, ask the universe, but we'll send them a shower of pee instead of white healing energy. What do you reckon? We should have a nomination once a week. I shall say goodnight to all. I'm now closing my eyes. Wait, oh, Marie, thank you so much for sticking with us. And I'm sorry that the stories didn't manage to send you off, but I'm glad that you were awake to send some healing thoughts to Green Eyes. And obviously, if you ever need us, we'll do exactly the same for you. I hope that you sleep well, my love. We'll see you on the next one. Yeah, all well, Jules. I've just been telling a few little ghost stories. Because Porky's doing his live stream. He's probably going to be finishing quite soon, so you may hear him if he comes in. You may get to hear his dulcet tones. That's it, Simples. Sorry, message cut off. It was good to partake of it. It's always good to have you in, Marie. Oh, by the way, Marie, I've still not... Did you resend your email? Because I checked my email account before and there wasn't one in there yet. So I didn't know if you had sent it or if you'd not got round to it yet. But just to let you know, there wasn't anything in my email inbox. I think the only person that I've had emails in there from so far is Jules. I've not had anything else yet. Oh right. Oh no, it's absolutely not got through to me. And you've sent it exactly the same as it's written. You know, with the underscoring thing in as well on the email account. Well, I'll tell you what then, because obviously you're going to go to bed now. Next time we're in, Marie, what I'll do is I'll put up, if it still doesn't come through tomorrow, next time you're in. All right, that's weird. Right, well, what I'll do, Marie, because it's not come through, next time you're in, when you're not going to bed, I'll drop the link. You know, as though I'm putting the link up for you to come up on chat, but I won't bring you up on panel. There's a private chat that's backstage, and I'll just exchange a different email address with you. Should we do it that way? Because for some reason it's not coming in, and I was expecting one from Paula as well. That hasn't arrived either. So there's only one coming out from Jules. But I was having problems with it because I did send Jules a very long email reply and that didn't get through to her. So yeah, just remind me, Marie, next time. Just ask me to drop the link for the email and I'll remember. Busting out the hard stuff. Who wants an Ovaltine? Denny. Rock and roll. I've been doing the family tree and it's obsessive. Jules, my auntie was doing it for her side of the family, like my mum's side. And she's given me access to her account on ancestry.com because I wanted copies of it all. And she just said, well, you can go on there and then print out what you want. So it's fascinating. Things that we like, really crazy things we found out about the family in Ireland, like mad stuff. Very, very strange. Different branches of the family. Like, I think that there was possibly an illegitimate child. Shock horror. Hot off the press. From this very let me see, very conservative Catholic family. Very, very moral. And there appears to have been a child with 2 birth certificates in different names and also 2 death certificates in different names. And this child was never mentioned after it died. So go figure. So yeah, I'm looking forward to looking in that, because prior to, how do I put this? While this had kind of gone on, when, you know, surrounding this child, prior to this, both of these relatives, husband and wife, prior to their marriage, they both worked at a very large stately home, shall we say, in Ireland. He was a gardener and she was a housemaid. And I'm thinking maybe there was a bit of upstairs, downstairs went on. And then he was paid a bit of money to marry her, because not long after that, they left Ireland and came to England. Let's just leave it there, eh? Let's have a look. CBD oil legal in the UK. It's still only available through a private doctor here. 200 quid to see doctor, another 150 quid for... Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you can buy... I'm sure you can buy CBD oil at places like Holland and Barrett as well. I mean, I don't know what the standard of it is there, but yeah, you can buy different strengths of CBD oil. I've not used it, but I do know people who have. Oh, you found Canadian relatives and some in Ireland, Jules. Wow. Jules, jipping, it's gipping. Making you gip. Throw up. But I say jip. When I say jip, I mean jizz. Jizzoom. Man juice is jip. People call things different things. Yeah, you can get that in the UK, Green Eyes. It's a lot of money, though. I think it's about 40 quid for a little tiny bottle of it. You can buy online. Holland Barrett is where I got mine. It's fucking minging, but I think I'll get the flavoured one next time. Right, okie dokie. Yeah, gipping is throwing up. Gip. Go on, gip. You're making me gip. You know when you go whoop? That's what it is. Haven't had Horlicks in ages, Green Eyes. Muhammad Ali loved Ovaltine. It's what gave him his dancing feet. Yes, exactly. What have you said? It makes you jip. You dirty bugger. That's it, eternal flame retching. The dry bulk, as they say in Scotland. I'm sure I missed something else up there. Did you say something about Porky's channel, Tiz? I kind of saw it and then, oh yeah, I thought I'd subbed Mr. Porky. We checked out one of his vids. I just faintly hear you in the background. I know he has me on in the background. I don't think he has tonight though, because he didn't know I was going to come live. He just thought I was like doing the pots, putting the oh, speaking of which, shit, I've just realised the tumble dryer stopped. Give me a second. I'm just going to have to put the tumble dryer on again. Else we're going to have cold bedding tonight. I think that's the right one. Bear with me a second. He's got this really fancy, brand new flipping... Yeah, that's the sounds it makes. It's a really fancy, all singing, all dancing... I've got to try and find the synthetics one. Oh, there we go. It's this all singing, all dancing, wonderful tumble dryer, and it makes music. But yeah, I just realised the damn thing stopped ages ago, else we're going to have a really cold bedding. Waking up wet, jipping jizz, right, ladies? Hail Mary time, you heretics. Was looking for his channel, can't find it. Yeah, Jill, he has got a channel, but the one that he uses on here. Oh, have I got louder? Yeah, well, what I'd done was I closed the door, and I'm really trying not to, but I can hear him yelling and shouting and laughing upstairs. Yeah, Jill, he's got a channel, but I think he's only got like 6 subs on it. It's only for his gaming. But he is setting another channel up, which we're going to do the ghost hunting stuff on. So although I said, you know, I'm going to be doing that with him, I'm not going to put it on my channel. But when he sets that channel up, anybody who's into the ghost hunting and investigation side of things, you know, come over and give him a sub, because I'm going to be on it. And like I said, he just said it's going to be, he thinks it'll be hilarious because I'm such a wuss. So he said I'm going to be on a par with like Yvette Fielding on Most Haunted, just being really irritating and screaming and running around. And because I've got this thing about there being werewolves everywhere. And he said, I just got visions of you. You lay stomach crack and go, it's a fucking werewolf. And go charging off into undergrowth in the middle of the, you know, pitch black, middle of the night, breaking limbs and things. So, yeah. So he might get a few good views on that. Well, oh, no problem, Jules. No problem at all. Just you know, fire back to me. Anything. It's not a problem. Yeah. Well, we're going to go on Saturday. We're going up to Todmorden. You know what I was talking about last night with the alien abduction stuff. So we're going in the daytime. We're taking Cooper up. We're going to go up over the hills. So I'm going to hopefully film something up there. If nothing happens, which I don't think it will, oh ye of little faith, I'll at least try and get some good shots for you, you know, to show people what the area is like for anybody who doesn't know Todmorden. And speaking of which, I noticed I had a comment on that video from last night, and when I went on to it, it's a comment from somebody, what they call Todd Tiger, I think, who had said it was a great video and that they're related to Alan Godfrey and that he's just signed for to do a movie about his experiences. So I thanked him for his comment and said, you know, please send him our regards and would he keep us posted about this upcoming film that Alan's going to be doing. And he said he will do. So that was really nice because I thought, you know, to get, I know, Denny, I was made up. So I just hope that he felt I'd done, you know, I'd done his story justice because I was on the side of Alan. Yes, Simples. Yeah. Screener said, I just want to thank you ladies for being here. It gets very lonely sometimes and talking to you makes me feel like I'm back home with my mates. Absolutely, Green Eyes. And the thing is, you all keep me company as well because, you know, obviously we're not shacked up together yet. That is coming though. So during, you know, during the week when I'm not seeing, obviously I come here on a Thursday, but I get lonely on my own and I like it because obviously Porky comes in the chat. I'm really sorry as well, guys, if you know, I didn't want you to start thinking it was getting a bit of a loved up channel. If ever that's the way it's come over, I do apologise. You know, we have a bit of a laugh and a joke and a flirting in chat, but yeah, I come in here, it's more for you guys. So I feel the same, Green Eyes. You know, and I know some people when they're sat at home, like Woe Lisa, you know, and she's needed to chat to people over the last week or so. So that's been really nice. And you know, when other people's families are busy doing stuff. So I do really like it. Like you say, it's just like being in a chat with friends. Green Eyes, that is lovely, and I love hearing your voice when you're up there with Kiss. I know, Jules. I know, but I love Green Eyes. One of my favourite people. Don't be silly, we love Pocket. Oh, that's good, Green Eyes. Thank you. We all love you to bits, Green Eyes. It's the same for me. Although I'm constantly surrounded by people, it's nice to log off life for a bit and chill, not cook. Yes. I feel connected to people too. I rarely feel lonely, so I'm lucky, but I do love being in chat. That's it, simples. I like that, and I think it's nice because we all get on so well. I'll come up and tell my ghost story next week sometime. Oh yes, Green Eyes. And Jules was gonna. I know she'd been thinking about gonna tell a bit of a story, but we're gonna leave that for a little while till because it takes a while, doesn't it, to just get your confidence up to come up on a panel. So I know Simple's had a few more. You had a few stories to tell, didn't you? And I think that Sheila. I really, really want to get Sheila on panel though to tell me about those excavations she did, the archaeological excavations under the church, if you guys remember that. Because I just love archaeology. I loved Time Team. I really wished that I could have gone on one of the Time Team digs. Greenhouse says, I don't have many close friends over here. The one close friends we had didn't like it as we were. Oh yeah, you said about that. They were being a bit funny about you being jabbed. I've had a couple of people raise their eyebrows at me, but I've just told them to get themselves to fuck. Yes, Eternal Flame, thanks for reminding. Let us know if your headache goes. Or at least eases, Green Eyes. Yeah, with Baldrick. Do you know, I always imagined Tony Robinson, you know, when he was jumping from like dig area to dig area in the different trenches. I was waiting for him to go, I have a cunning plan. And he never did. Did you watch when they did the oh, brilliant, Green Eyes. There you go, ladies. Look at that, the power of positive thought. Well, I hope it continues to ease. I really do. Did anybody watch when they did a roundup? You know, they did over the years from when it first started to present day, and the difference that he looked, you know, and he was going when he was dyeing his hair crazy colours, when he had hair and his like really shitty 1980s style glasses. I used to love Blackadder. I loved Queenie. We used to say my old horse was Queenie. You know, that spoilt bratty, a bit like Violet Elizabeth. She had that little bratty attitude. Our Green Eyes. We don't know a ton of people down here yet, so I feel you. It's amazing to be able to connect on here the way we do. Who's Queenie? Queenie. Do you remember Queenie off Blackadder? It was, oh, what was her name? Miranda. Was it Miranda or Richardson? God, what was her name? Oh, Green Eyes, you're going to have to help me on this one because you'll know. Was it Miranda Richardson? The woman who played Ruth Ellis in that. Oh, I don't know. I don't get you. Am I being really thick? Who's Queen? Miranda Richardson. Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't remember if that was a name or not. Sorry, I'm with you. Yeah. It is. Kit has a wonderful community here. I don't know where I'd be without you all. Oh, Green Eyes, I love you. I love all of you. That's what you should say when you're drunk, isn't it? And I'm stone cold sober. That used to really piss me off. I worked in a pub for a while. That's it. She did have the lisp. And there used to be a girl, oh God, she was an obnoxious cow. But on a Friday, she used to get absolutely shit-faced. She used to slag me off through the week. She hated my guts. But on a Friday, and I knew she hated me, she used to slag me off at every opportunity. If I saw her around town, she looked at me like I was a piece of shit. However, on a Friday, when she got wankered in the pub, she'd come up to the bar and she'd go, do you know, Jax, I love you. I fucking love you, mate. And the week that I knew I was leaving, because I always had to watch my P's and Q's in the pub, and my last day working in the pub, because I was going off to uni, and this was the Friday, and I was only working till, I think I was working till about 9 o'clock, and then I was going to finish and I was going to have a drink with everyone in the pub. She's pissed already at this point, and she come out and she did the same thing that she'd done every single night for the last 2 years, every Friday night for the last 2 years. Jax, I love you. I think you're fucking great, mate. And I just went, deadpan face. I'm not you. Hang on, get here. I just looked at her and I went, you're not me fucking mate. And I just remember Charlotte, the other barmaid, she had to walk off into the back. She was pissing herself laughing. I'm not your fucking mate. And it just stopped her in her track. And I know that quite a few of the people who were sat at the bar, they were laughing. She probably envied you a wee bit. The old drink let her get over herself a bit. No, I just think because I got on with everybody, I've got no idea what it was, Denny. No idea. I was watching Bottom again last week. Those two kill me. Always reminds me of modern day Laurel and Hardy. Oh, I love Laurel and Hardy. Yeah, simple as I only said it though. I thought it was hard when I was the other side of a bar. The funny thing is, I don't like confrontation. However, when I'm the typical long fused big bang, and my nickname in the family, my dad and my brothers, I think I've told you all before, they call me Semtex. And without, with good reason. So I do avoid confrontation as best I can, but when I go, I go. So hate people who are drunk who tell jokes. Oh no, there's nothing worse because they always forget the punchline, don't they, Jules? Or they forget what they're saying and just stop mid-sentence. Not many actors, etc. I've cried over when they died, but I cried when Rick Mayall died. Oh, that was very sad. Wasn't it? Was that on? Was it a quad bike that he died on? Did it go over on him or something? Or am I thinking of somebody else? Oh, Father Ted. Eternal Flame. Father Ted was one of my. Oh, I just could not stop laughing. Absolutely loved Father Ted. Father Jack. He was just, and you know, I saw an interview with the actor who played Father Jack, and he's like a classical. He was a Shakespearean actor, wasn't he? But he just played the horrible old drunken, lecherous, pervy old priest. Yeah, or they tell the joke ass about face. I know. Keeping Up Appearances. Mrs. Bouquet, yes. Hyacinth Bouquet. It was funny, wasn't it, with a sister? And what was it? Was a sister? Was it Rose? And she was married to the fella who played Eddie Yates. I can't remember his name in Keeping Up Appearances. Oh, did you not? Green Eyes? Oh, I tell you, you need to. You really need to go back. It was a bloody classic. Was that his name in Keeping Up Appearances, Eternal Flame? Yeah, because there was the Trollopy sister, wasn't there? No, Rab Nesbitt was a different character altogether. It was Rab and Mary Nesbitt. I used to love it when Rab Nesbitt got pissed and he'd go, see you. It's a pity Cassius, isn't it? And he could be taking her off. Onslow. Thank you, simple as that's who it was. Onslow. I knew it was a funny name and I just couldn't remember it. But yeah, Green Eyes, if you can ever watch episodes of Father Ted, you need to do it. You really do, because it's so good. Yeah, or Mary Hen, Mary Hen. Isn't it funny when you all start chatting together and you start remembering these series and the weird and wonderful names? And there was that neighbour, wasn't there, whenever Hyacinth invited around, the one who had the brother, was he an actor or a pianist or whatever he was? And the poor friend had like break the expensive crockery or spill something on the carpet because she was so nervous. Yeah, I think he was a musician, wasn't it? Because Hyacinth had burst into song every time she saw him, like coming out with bits of the Pirates of Penzance because she wanted him to cast her in a musical or something. I seem to remember. I didn't watch it that often. Watch like little. Well, do you know what always reminds me? Simple's makeup. This Mrs. Bouquet. There was a lady rang up. It was years ago when I was at work, and a lady rang up and she had an inquiry, and I was trying to find some information out, and I asked her for her name, and she said her name, and I said, I didn't hear it properly. She was very far back, she was talking ever so, and I said, sorry, could you repeat that for me, please? And she went, oh, it's Mrs. Sidibatham. And I didn't get it again. I said, I'm sorry. She went to Mrs. Sidibatham. And she was speaking exactly like that. So I said, could you spell it out for me, please? I said, I'm really sorry this line's bad. It wasn't. I just couldn't understand her with all the plums in her mouth. And she went, Sidebotham. And it was side bottom. But she was calling it Mrs. Sidibatham. And I instantly thought of Hyacinth Bucket. Hello, Frida. How are you? I hope you're well this evening. We had a little chat about ghosts, and now we're talking about old series, things like Father Ted and Keeping Up Appearances. And I may have to, as and when Porky has finished his stream, I'll have to jump down. Yeah, it is true, Jules. It's absolutely 100% true. Sidibatham. I nearly pissed myself. I had to put myself on mute on the phone. Everybody loves Only Fools and Horses. Let's see. She was like my ex-aunt. She used to ring me and say, Aunt Mary here, in a high voice. When she went to visit, she would pull wine glasses out from everywhere. Yeah, plate cool, trigger plate cool. The yuppie bar. Well, Birds of a Feather, Simples, always reminds me of my friend Tina. Do you remember I was saying about she was the first person I knew who ever got an ASBO because she knocked her neighbour, she smacked her neighbour around the head with a bat, and she lives in very wealthy, and she lives in Chigwell. And I was saying to Denny when she was up on panel that she always reminds me of Birds of a Feather because that's where they went to live, wasn't it, in Chigwell? And what was the name of that? What was the name of that tarty neighbour they had in Birds of a Feather? With the dark hair. I can't remember a flipping name. It's one of these where I didn't used to watch them all the time. Yeah, Chigwell. We live in Chigwell. Dorian. That's it, Dorian. Thank you, ladies. I'm actually quite laughing here because I'm obviously using my phone, but I've got the chat up on Porky's telly, and it's a 60-odd inch television. So I've just glanced up, looking at the flipping, because my photo, it's right in the middle, and I look like one of my eyes is bigger than the other. I just noticed it and I thought, what the F is going on with that? You should call me Isaiah, because one eye's higher than the other. Denny, I love Only Fools and Horses. Me and my late father used to pee laughing. It was great, wasn't it? I still think, though, as far as comedies go, Father Ted would definitely get my vote. My old man is the same, Jules. Pisses himself laughing every time, like a deep, wheezy, muttly laugh. Oh, you mean like mine when we were talking about all that terrible stuff that night on here, when me and Green Eyes were just nearly having heart attacks through laughing. I seriously, I couldn't breathe. I literally could not breathe. I know Lady Witch kept coming up in the comments going, "You're going to kill off Kiss." Although I've not been doing my muttly laugh since I stopped smoking. Father Jack drinking the toilet jug. Do you remember when they were taking him out for a walk, Eternal Flame, and they had him in the wheelchair? And Mrs. Doyle said, "Do you want him manual or automatic?" And they went automatic. So she stuck a fishing rod with a bottle of whiskey in front of him, and he was wheeling himself after it. You know, like the donkey and the carrot. And I still think my very favourite one ever was when she's like, yeah, the muttly laugh. Oh, yeah, even your little cough has disappeared. I know, it's surprising. Not been doing it quite, I'm almost on a month now. So, yay, go me. Yeah, the funny one was when she was mithering him for a cup of tea, and she goes, "Now, Father, what would you say to a nice cup of tea?" And he goes, "Feck off, cup." That was the one Denny was said it at the same time. Feck off, cup. Do you remember when he had the flashback as well to when he was working at when he was the priest at a girls' school, and he was in the classroom and you could see he was like just some dirty old pervy priest, maybe probably in his 40s or his 50s, and it's got the nun who's doing the class, and she's saying, "Oh, and girls, Father Jack's saying, as it's such a hot day today, you don't need to do, you can leave your jumpers off while you're playing netball." So you knew he was just wanting a good old perv at the boobage through the t-shirts. But yeah, it was. And he's there with a fag hanging out of his mouth, grinning at all the students. You're just like, yeah, you dirty old bugger. No, I felt very sorry that he died, because he died young, didn't he? He was only in his early 50s, wasn't he? Father Ted. Was it Dermot, whatever his name was? Is it Dermot? No, I was going to say Dermot O'Leary. That wasn't right. Thanks, Jules. Thank you. I'm getting there. When they give the ex-alcoholic priest a drink and he's running around naked, I know. I loved it when they did the Craggy Island funfair thing. Early 50s, yeah. It was really sudden as well, wasn't it? Eternal Flame, just so sudden. Yeah, I loved that. I loved that series. But it was like, what was that one my mum and dad used to watch? Faulty Towers. And they only made, there was only a very few episodes of it that they made. And you see, people seem to think that Faulty Towers ran for years and years, and it actually didn't, did it? I've watched reruns of that and I've laughed, you know, because if you've noticed that every single time the sign for Faulty Towers at the beginning in the opening credits is always misspelled and it's spelled something different. And there were two of them, and the one that always made me laugh was they'd spelt it wrong and it said flowery twats instead of Faulty Towers. How did they get away with that? When was that, in the 70s or the 80s? Whenever that was on. But yeah, they got away with it. Fatty owls, yeah. Yeah, but that flowery twats one was that was the one that really made me howl when I saw it, Simples. I have found, oh no, John Cleese, I love him because I mean, I grew up watching Monty Python, Denny. You know, it was my dad and my mum, and they were listening to the Goons and Round the Horn. And I found I was going through some records when I went to my aunt's at Christmas, because I got some Beatles singles for Porky's daughter, because she's I mean, she's only 12, but she's really into the Beatles and things like that. And I picked up some old records that my dad had given to me. 45? Oh my goodness! I thought he was in his 50s. Bloody hell! Even younger. Um, Yeah, and I found some albums that my dad had given me, and they are the Goon shows. So there's the Goons. There's one that is Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. Sorry, there are two Goon shows and one Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. And then there, so I'm going to need to find a tape recorder to play, because there's a tape which is of Round the Horn, and I played a bit of it at my Auntie Kay's, and oh, I couldn't stop laughing. It's got Kenneth Williams in, and he's singing this song, and it's about this place called Ganderpoke Fair, and he's singing this song to a farmer called Reg Pubes, and oh God, I couldn't stop laughing. This song he's singing is going like, Reg Pubes, lend us your great nog, for we are going to Ganderpoke Fair. And I thought, I've got to listen to this. I know I'm going to be sitting here with tears running down my face, but I want to listen to those Goon Show albums with Porky, because I think we'll just piss ourselves laughing. Yeah, Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. I mean, they were so near the knuckle as well, weren't they? I mean, they all were. I just don't understand, because they couldn't. Peter Cook, Dudley Moore, the Goons, maybe not so much the Goons, but definitely Monty Python. How the fuck did they get away with what they used to get away with? But you know, all due respect to them, and I loved Monty Python because it was like political correctness be damned, wasn't it? I just wish we could go back to that. I mean, I've missed out on those eras of total, you know, lack of political correctness. My dad is still living in that era. Zero fucks are given in his house, because the way he looks at it, he always says, I don't choose to give offence, you choose to take it. If you don't like what I say, jog the fuck on. I know the Carry On films were not PC, but I still love them. Yeah. Well, I brought this up the other night as well, Simples. You know, you have a vision of Bernard Bresslaw when he was dressed as a nurse, Bernard Bresslaw trying to rake his pair of knickers out of his arse. Dave Allen. I'm trying to think of some other old ones, because obviously, well, it was a lot of stuff. Yeah, Carry On. You can't beat the Carry On films. They were always sexy, and I absolutely loved Sid James's laugh. Because he wasn't Sid James South African, I think, wasn't he? Or born in South Africa or Rhodesia, somewhere like that, I think. Charles Hawtrey, yes. He was great. Carry On Camping was one of my favourites. And then do you remember the Carry On Screaming? The one where I think they built, was that the one where there was a werewolf in it? And I think there was a Frankenstein monster in it as well. Oh, was it, Jules? Which, the Carry On Camping or the Carry On Screaming? Sorry, there's a bit of a delay in the chat from StreamYard. Yeah. Oh, Matron. Oh, and what was his name as well? The one who played, it was the bit of the cad, the one with the mustache. You know, the one who used to go, oh, ding dong. Can't remember his name. Oh, Carry On Camping. Yeah, brilliant, wasn't it? Vanilla Field. Yeah. Terry Thomas. Thank you, Jules. Thank you. One of the Carry On actresses, oh gosh, I can't remember her damn name. She follows me on Twitter. Oh, sorry, you said Terry Thomas. It's not, it's Leslie Phillips. That's the one I was thinking of, Simples. Yeah, there was a lady, and she had blonde hair. It's going to kill me because I can't remember a flipping name. She followed me when I had my big account on Twitter, and then when I lost it and I set up this one that I've got now, she sent a follower request to me again because she said she used to love reading my tweets. She was a blonde actress, and they did a Wild West one, very pretty when she was younger. No, it wasn't Barbara Windsor. It wasn't Barbara Windsor. She was, oh God. I wish I had something I could do a Google search on now, because that is going to do my flaming head in. Very, very pretty girl, and she played one of the, oh, I'm trying to think which of the Carry On films she was in, because I didn't know who she was, and then when I read her about me, I was like, oh my God, she's actually famous. And I got into I tell you what, I've got a couple of quite famous people follow me on there. I'll tell you another one who follows me, Margie Clark, if anybody remembers her. And I've had some cracking conversations with Margie Clark on Twitter. Down to earth as they come, brilliant woman. Think she's great. She gives zero shits as well. Really like her. Got a lot of time for her. But yeah, oh God, it is going to do my flaming head in now. Elizabeth Joan Winch. No, that's not it, Denny. Oh, God. Quite wide-eyed, blonde girl, quite wide-eyed, very pretty, beautiful figure. Well, obviously, when she was younger, I mean, she's obviously in her 70s or her early 80s now. I love James Blunt, Jules. That's a Denny, Liz Fraser. Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't remember a bleeding name. But yeah, I just got a follow from her. She'd read some of my tweets, and she sent me a follow, and I followed her back. Didn't have a clue who she was. Thank you so much. There was another one as well. Like I said, I don't know why. I don't know whether it was because I was a big channel or whether it was because of things that they were enjoying reading, but there was, oh God, she was the ex-girlfriend of Keith Moon. And she followed me. But she was, do you know what, Jules? I don't know the characters that she played. But now Tiz has found her, because Tiz is the Google queen. Really pretty when she was younger, very, very pretty. 44,000. Well, it was just coming up to 45,000. Tiz. And I lost it because they exposed a P word, naughty man, who liked children a little bit too much. So I lost my account, because I think every P word who was on that platform decided to mass report me. But I think one of the Jules, one of the characters she played, they did a carry on, and it was in the Wild West, and she played one of the saloon girls. It's I think it was one of the most famous ones that she did. You'd know her when you saw her. She had all the blonde hair piled up on her head, because that's when I saw that photograph of her on her own account. I was like, shit, I've seen you. And I sent a message going, is this you on it? And she's like, yeah. That flipping politician follows me as well. What's his name? He's a Welsh politician for UKIP. Him and his wife were both, oh, bloody hell. That's going to do me head in as well. I'm terrible for remembering names. Just the weirdest, randomest people were following me on there. But yeah, I was a bit of a gobshite on Twitter. As opposed to being a big gobshite on here. Yeah, simple. I can't think of his flipping name. It'll come to me. Oh gosh. I've got a mental block. Simples. I am murder for doing this. I can see people in my mind's eye, and I completely forget the names. Totally forget names. For some reason, I'm thinking his name begins with a G, I think. But I'm probably wrong. His wife's got blonde hair. But is a UKIP for Wales. They will eternal flame. I definitely need a second device. I have got a tablet at home, but I just always forget to charge it. I'm bloody useless. It's usually Denny is the Google queen. She's brilliant. How is Green Eye still with us? Just want to check how you're feeling, chicken, if you're still listening in. If you're feeling any better. It's the member of parliament who's a UKIP politician. I think he used to be a Tory, and he's in Wales, and his wife was also into politics, and I can't remember his name. I was saying he's another one who follows me on Twitter, but I cannot remember his flaming name. I'm murder. Like I said, the only one I could remember the name of was Margie Clark, probably because I've spoken to her quite a lot. Oh, God love your green eyes. Keep your eyes shut and just listen in. Try not to strain your eyes. No, not Gareth Bennett, no. I think I think he used to be a Tory. Him and his wife. Um, yeah, me too, Frida. I'm always doing it. I'm a bugger for it. Absolute bugger for it. Thank you, Tiz. That's him, Neil Hamilton. So his name didn't begin with a G. Yes, and Neil Hamilton follows me on Twitter as well. Never had a conversation with the guy, like, but what's his face as well? Tommy Robinson used to follow me on Twitter. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea. I'm not going to go down the politics route, but you know, he was always very nice. And I will give him his due, that guy, when the Manchester Arena bomb went off, because my sister and my two nieces and nephew were there that night for the Ariana Grande concert. When I heard that the bomb had gone off, I was ringing. Obviously, the mobile networks were jammed. It was 3 o'clock in the morning before I found out that they were okay. And I was on Twitter just basically going, oh my fucking God, you know, this bomb's gone off. I can't get home. My sister and my two nieces and nephew were there at the concert and whatever. And you know what? Straight away, Tommy Robinson, he'd read my text. He was straight on my Twitter. He was posting. He posted something on his own Twitter page for me. Never. Then he sent me a private message, and I thought, and I've never forgotten that. You know, because he had like 100,000 followers. I've never forgotten the kindness he showed me that night. So I've all the time in the world for him. I don't care if people don't like him or not. I'm not going political. I'm going as a person. Nice guy. So, yeah. Yeah, never forgotten that. 3 o'clock in the fucking morning, and he took the time out of his own life to message me on there, asking was I all right. So, yeah, good guy. Yeah, Frida, poor Green Eyes with a headache. But we tried to do a bit of remote healing for her off the channel, so hopefully that's helped. So we're hoping a nasty headache buggers right off. I need a headache to go because I want to know as soon as she's tried out my my tiger bread topping recipe, and if it works on a magic bread that she makes in a Dutch oven. I'll tell you what, Green Eyes, you'll have to let me know if you try any of those, you know, like the tiger bread recipe that you can do, no knead, and see if it works. If it tastes okay, I wouldn't mind having a go at that. Do you think it worked, Green Eyes? I gave your spine a gently pure light massage. Excellent, Denny. I do believe in it. I do believe in it. You know, the power of positive thought. I think when you're thinking negative thoughts, you know, it just attracts more negative energy. When you think positive, and especially when you have a lot of, you know, people combined, especially a close group, because I do think, you know, we're all over the world and we're all in different spots, but I think as far as people being in tune, I think we are on here. You know, we've all got this link. So, you know, why should, you know, linking up psychically or just mentally or universally, why should it not work? Oh, did you, Jules? Now, did you make it the traditional way or did you try the easy way that that Green Eyes makes them and that myself and Lady Witch have made them with the no knead recipe in a Dutch oven? You didn't. You bought a bread maker. After us saying go out and buy. Having said that, though, I did make Porky a big loaf that he brought home. Get this right. I got here before, and he was standing in the kitchen, and he said, "Didn't you make me a loaf of bread last week?" I said, "I made you one on Sunday, and you brought it home with you." He said, "I can't fucking find it anywhere. I don't know what I've done with it. I think I left it at yours." I said, "No, you didn't." And he's worked out, he's left it in the boot of his car. Hopefully it'll still be all right because I did have it. I wrapped it in cling film and tinfoil the day, you know, on the morning when I made it. So hopefully it's still all right. Yeah, it's just a pain in the arse, isn't it, Jules? But if you have got a Dutch oven, you can make it that way because you don't need to knead it. Going to make some. I used to be that way eternal. I do actually enjoy cooking and eating. Now I'm nearly 40, but it took a while. Did one yesterday. Forgot to put the rice topping on it. No worries. I understood what you meant. Don't you worry. Oh, my damn phone is down to 26%. So I was hoping that Porky Pork would make an appearance before I have to log off. You've got an English oven. Well, the minute when you remember to put the rice topping on it, you'll have to let me know how it turned out. Because, like I said, I don't know whether it will taste the same with it not being the actual recipe for the tiger bread, because you do put a bit of sugar in that. But, hopefully it'll come as near as damn it. You see, Eternal Flame, I love cooking. I love it because I used to stand with my nana making things, and when my mum was poorly when we were little, so she always had me, and not so much my sister. She wasn't really interested, but I'd just be in the kitchen with her for hours, learning how to make stews, and like she never measured anything. It was all done from memory. Like if she made a big stew, she used to put she'd measure out how much salt went into it by using the palm of a hand, and where the salt went on a hand, she went, that's enough for that, and this is how much you put in potatoes. And she made the best mash on the planet. And she used to make tons of mash. So you'd have your mash with your like sausage and mash, but she'd have leftover, and then she'd make us all potato cakes for like the next day, which were amazing. Potato cakes with loads of butter on them. Oh, do you know, Denny, you can't beat a fresh loaf just out the oven while it's still warm and bartering a shitload of like good quality butter on it. Oh, well, I can't wait to see that one then, Frida. Soda bread. My nan used to bake with my sis and I every weekend, bless her. We'd do clay making and she'd fire it in the kiln, then do baking. Oh, so she had a kiln. I always fancied having a kiln, and then learning how to do pottery. But again, it'd be something that I bought and then never did anything with. I filled my adult life with buying shit that I didn't need to, that I only used once. One of my friends in work, he bought a house last year, and he made like during lockdown, he built a pizza oven in his garden. So he does all sorts in that. So it's like a big clay oven, but yeah. I was just going to ask about Bama. So she was live the other night but couldn't join in. Well, actually, I just closed down on here, Jules, as she'd come live. So when I was going to bed, I was having an early night. So I just popped on and said, hiya, everyone, but I'm just off for a kip. So I don't know. I missed the live myself. I had to go to sleep. I was really tired. Soda bread's lovely green eyes. The staple of any Irish kitchen. My mum used, when we were little, my mum used to make milk bread. You know, if you couldn't get hold of any yeast, and you make it with milk instead. Oh, moulds. Ah, got you. I'd love to be talented like that. Do you know what, Frida? All the best things aren't they? Cheap and easy to make. And I will admit, Irish cooking is one of my favourites because, you know, you show me an Irish family and you'll show me a mother or a grandmother or a great-grandmother who can feed a family of 10 for about £3. And it's a bloody good wholesome meal as well, isn't it? I mean, I can shop very cheaply and make sure that we've got, you know, a decent meal every single night, homemade, because I don't like buying pre-made shit. I hear somebody coming down the stairs, I think. Oh no, I misheard. So I might have to do a runner, but I'll see if he wants to say hello to you all when he appears. The Japanese love milk bread. It's famous over there. I didn't know that. Oh, she's going live tomorrow on the live-a-thon for Salty. Yeah, I'm going to go into that as well. I'm looking forward to Jen's quiz. I think she said she's going to be selling knob inches. Oh no, I thought he'd finished, but no. I think he was just having a break and he's gone back. So much for I'm going to finish my live at 8:30. Favourite smell used to do Christmas trees, but with real lights in them. She'd make and sell them like mad every Christmas. Ah. Hang on, Cooper.
Boy, come on in. There you go.
Unless you want to say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Pork chop in the house. So I'm going to hang up in a second, but no need. No, I was saying I was only on. I was only on live while you were playing and killing things. Nan used to do Christmas trees with real lights in them. She'd make and sell them like mad every Christmas. People love them. Yeah, well, that's the thing, Denny, isn't it? You've either got a skill and a talent. Oh, there you go. Yo, Porky from Denny.
Oh, geezer, it.
Did you hear that one? Oh, Green Eyes is saying, look, Green Eyes has got a bad headache, so we've been trying to cure her long distance.
Green Eyes.
They probably can't eat. I will bring the phone over so that Green Eyes, your wingman, can say a personal hello to you. There you go.
Hi, Green Eyes. You all right?
Did you get that one? Oh, Jules. Hi, Porky, in capitals.
Hi, Jules.
I said before I said apologising if we were like having a laugh and a joke too much and getting a bit flirty. And they were saying, no, we love Porky, and they're all looking forward to your channel.
Oh.
There you go. I used PVA glue today, Porky. It wasn't the usual pure crafting session. It was prior to your filth.
I hope you got a couple of pieces of lamb involved or some liver.
Oh, there you go. Green Eyes loves your voice. Thank you, my wingman.
Oh.
So he's now got the dog up on the sofa. Doesn't even stick. The kidneys would never have taken. You dirty cow. So, well, we've done ghosties, and I didn't know if you'd know I was online or not. I thought you probably don't, because I didn't say I was going to go. Oh, there you go. Shekshi voice. That's why I call him Mr. Shekshi. You should hear him doing, he was talking to me in Russian yesterday. We had a Russian voice, which was very good. And I did say, oh, talk to me in Russian when you wake me up. Oh, look, Cooper is happy. Daddy is there. Yeah, Cooper is happy because he's snuck up in between us on the sofa, which he is banned from doing, but he's been allowed to. So, guys and gals, as I said, we were discussing ghosts. We're telling ghost stories, and we've done that. We have talked about, what else did we talk about? Food. Oh, obviously Green Eyes was suffering from a bad headache, so we all did remote healing. We were like sending positive vibes and a headache was going, which is great. We've talked about food. We've talked about famous followers on Twitter. And how everybody feels like, Father Ted, yeah, Eternal Flame. We talked about the comedies. Father Ted, I believe so, Frida. So so I'm going to go in on I'll go in for because obviously there's the quiz. Jen was doing a general knowledge quiz, did she say? So that's going to be, and I think she said last night she's going to be selling knob inches. So and then Bam was doing was it a creepy crime chat, I think. Oh, Simple wants to your channel. Is it going to be called Porky's Paranormals?
Paranormal Pork.
Paranormal Pork.
Hi, Frida.
It's Frida who wants you to sing. We'll get him at some point. Mm-hmm. We'll get him. Mm-hmm. Get him in the mood. So so there you go, Paranormal Pork. So when he sets that one up, we'll put a link in, and you can. Have you got one yet? Have you got it yet? Have you set it up? No. So yeah, and I expect everybody to give him a sub. Use the moles to make babies. What kind of babies? Real babies? Okay, great chat as always, kissing everyone. Have a great rest of the evening. Hugs to everyone. Haha, Porky's Paranormals. I know. Yeah, no, Paranormal Pork. Did you say Paranormal Pork? Paranormal Pork. Paranormal Pork it's going to be. Or Porky, depending if someone's nicked that one. Oh, thank you, Frida. Right, guys and gals. Well, it has been lovely as always. And thanks for all the chats. I hope Green Eyes, you're feeling better later, sweetheart. And I'll catch everybody tomorrow, hopefully, for the live-a-thon, and then probably Sunday, I'm thinking, not Saturday, because we're going up to Todmorden. We're going to take Cooper out to Todmorden, and we're going to go and have a look where the UFOs and everything was up in the hills. So there might be a video to upload, but I'm hoping maybe Sunday, because I don't know if Porky's going to be staying at mine on Saturday night. He might do, he might not. So if he does, I won't come on Saturday, but Sunday, if not Saturday, I'm going to do Boadicea. Okay, I got told I had to say Boadicea because more people know who Boadicea is rather than me calling her Boudica. I'm going to do Boudica and the disappearance of the Ninth Legion. So for anybody who likes a bit of history and who likes a bit of a mystery, that's what I'm going to cover. So like I said, it'll either be Saturday or Sunday. Oh, thanks, Jules, for popping in. And obviously, if you missed the start of it, we've got a few real ghost stories. So talking about my old house and stories that other people that I know very well have given to me. So night, everybody. Hope you're all okay. Oh my goodness, I've got curries in front of me, and I don't mind, babe. Whatever. I don't mind. I don't mind. Okay, that one. Right, sorry, I was being asked to make a decision and I don't make decisions very well. Okay, so I will see you all, anybody who's in the live-a-thon tomorrow. And failing that, I will see you on Saturday or Sunday. Oh, good night, Kathy and Frida and Jules, and Eternal Flame. Not a problem. Everybody's welcome. It's lovely to see you all. No need to thank me, Kathy. It's all down to you lot. And thank you, Simples. Poor Green Eyes, when she comes back, we're all going to be missing. So I will catch you all later, and I'm going to close as I always do. You know what's coming, as irritating as it may be. See you on the bright side.